Good. All right. Thank you, everybody. We're going to get started, and we're going to start with the pledge of allegiance. So, okay. Hi, Kelly. We pick our need for get started. Oh,
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we'll go into day one roll call.
You see Councilman Bieber online, so I'm just gonna have a look at it. Ben Johnson,
Present.
Billy Moore, present. Marissa Penny,
Present.
Councilmember Ebert,
Yeah, sorry, I was having a little bit of technical issues here. I didn't hear anything prior. Was this just a roll call?
Yep, just call and roll.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, present.
Councilman Planned Behavior and Trenton Kelly will not be here, but with that, we have a quorum of the Ward 4 Neighborhood Advisory Board.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to A2, public comment.
Comments heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to items of all consent. On and off the NAB's agenda. The NAB may not take action upon any matter not agendized on today's agenda. When you're called in for public comment, please state your name for the record and begin speaking. The timer will begin when you say your name and you will be afforded 3 minutes. If you are attending the Zoom meeting and would like to make public comment under general public comment, please raise your hand at this time.
I'd like to point out to for public comment, Ben Johnson for record. If you have a public comment in specific to development or business item or something along those lines, you want to hold to your comments till then, you can, or you can make it now. Or and also we can do that at the very end of the meeting as well. So
I don't have any comments for general public comment, in person or online.
all right, we'll go to A3, approval for agenda. A motion to approve.
So you already said the motion.
Well,
I made the motion to approve the meeting.
Second the motion to approve the agenda.
I do. I second the motion to approve the agenda. Thank you, Councilman. Here at 6:02. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously.
We'll go to the council liaison report. Equal.
This council member Ebert, don't have a whole lot of updates currently. We had a council meeting break since June, so we haven't had regularly scheduled council meetings. The next one will be on July 22nd. I did want to call out, though, that there was a joint charter committee and council meeting today where they discussed potential items to address during the next legislative session. So that's available on Reno.gov or YouTube if anybody would like to see what was discussed today. Another update is we were able to transplant the majority of the trees that are going to be impacted by the military road widening. City of Reno Urban Forestry Department is going to be able to replant trees that need to be removed during the widening, with the exception of trees that are too large. There's a couple, I think, on Finsetch and Military, the corner there, that won't be able to be transplanted, but those will be replaced 3-to-1. So for any one tree that's taken down, they'll be replaced with 3 additional trees. So just wanted to give that update. And I know we had RTC at the last NAB meeting, but just want to remind everybody that I've asked for them to join us quarterly. So there should be ongoing information and updates from RTC at future NABs as well. So that was it for my update. If anyone has any questions at the end of the meeting or public comment, just let me know. And that's it for my update.
Thank you, Megan.
Can I, Chair? I'm so sorry. I forgot to ask in the approval of the agenda item to item C1 and C2 above B and B items. So we can just state that on the record that we're gonna
Okay,
adjust the agenda order.
okay. You need us to do,
Can we redo a motion?
yeah, okay, so again, we're going to move items C1 and do, after A5, after the staff liaison report. I need a motion to approve. Right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We good?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. All right. Staff liaison report A5.
Sure thing, just so that people know. All right, hi everyone, I'm Kelly Shai, staff liaison. Just some general reminders tonight. First up, Reno directs the city's non-emergency service center. So if you have general questions or concerns or government service requests, you can submit them to Reno Direct using the phone line on the screen or the link there, Reno.gov/Reno Direct. A reminder for our board members to remember your attendance. Thank you to everyone tonight who confirmed your attendance. For members of the public and members of the board, if you'd like to stay connected in Reno, take a look at the city's newsletters, especially the report newsletter, the development projects newsletter to learn about new development projects in your ward and around the city. Council agendas newsletter. The development projects newsletter will also notify you that planning commission agenda. If you're looking to sign up for newsletters, just go to Reno.gov, click on services, then sign up for the newsletters. We also have a newer newsletter, the Reno Report. This comes from City Manager Jackie Bryan and gives you this news in Reno. For tonight's projects, we have 2 development projects that are scheduled for the August 5th Planning Commission meeting and 2 that have undetermined hearing dates. So board members, please turn in your worksheets by July 22nd, next Wednesday. Additionally, we had this helpline information last meeting. If you have concerns or inquiries related to RTC's construction happening on Military Road, you can reach out to the contacts here for the project hotline. Coming up in August, we're scheduled to have an update about the Advanced Purified Water Facility. This project was approved by council on May 20th. It'll consist of active construction at the Reno Stead Water Reclamation Facility and the site of the new APWF facility on the corner of Lear and Military Boulevard. This project will begin construction in the next month with an estimated final completion in the spring of 2029. The project team will be making visits to neighboring properties to share project information in the coming weeks. Working hours will be limited to between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. And the contractor will be implementing the noise, dust, and traffic mitigation throughout the project. And like I said, the team is planning to bring forward an update at the August meeting, which is August 20th here at Reno Stead Airport Community. And lastly, just some reminders about upcoming meetings. There is a council meeting next week on the 22nd, but also on the 29th. The next planning commission meeting will be August 5th. And the next ward board meeting is here August 20th at 6 p.m. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I think we're good. You guys have any things?
No.
Okay, we're gonna move on to business item C1, which is KTMB.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Hold up. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Do I have to use the microphone? No. Okay, cool. Thank you. I hate them. I'm Darcy Phillips. I'm the executive director of Keep Chunky Meadows Beautiful. I won't take up a whole lot of your time. I just wanted to do a quick report about our work in this ward in the last year. There. Okay. We just had our great community cleanup, May 3rd, May 2nd. We had 26 sites around town. Just had a huge turnout, over 1,000 volunteers. But I split it up sort of by sites that were relevant to y'all. So we work at Swan Lake a lot, Clear Boulevard. We're trying to get a lot more active in the North Valleys area, because I know there's a lot of illegal dumping going on up here, and we really want to help with that. A lot of weeds, a lot of problems with that. So you can see at that site alone, we had 10,000 pounds of green waste removed. So invasive weeds, noxious weeds, things that we were asked to be cleared or asked to clear from the area. And it's just, it takes time, it takes a lot of work, it's a lot of labor. But our volunteers, as you can see, most of the time we're smiling, so they have a good time. Do I have to point this somewhere? Why am I not?
Just super vanity.
It's just picky. Okay. There we go. Okay. Also at Silver Lake, this was a newer site for us. Again, a lot of green waste. That's a lot of what we do, besides illegal dumping at our great community cleanup. So again, a lot of that, we had some groups from Granite Construction out there, and you might have seen some of this. This is just constant, trying to stay on top of this for fire reduction, for the health of the watershed and all of that. So it's just, we just have to do it all the time, and we'd rather not be using chemicals. We don't use chemicals. We do everything by hand, which I know isn't always the most efficient way, but that's just how we roll. We don't use any of that. So it's all hand done. Come on. Can you do it?
There you go.
Okay, there we go. Okay, North Valleys Regional Park. Again, a lot of green waste, but also a lot of trash. You guys know this park. It's a really interesting space, and it has a lot of different areas to it. So we tend to work all over, and it depends what the county wants us to do. And I know this is a part of the ward because it's county property, I believe, but I know it doesn't matter to most of us, right? A lot of trees planted. We are hoping to get a new project coming to that park in the next 6 to 8 months, that will involve a lot of new trees, maybe some new irrigation. We're just heard about this today, getting some funding and working together with the city and county to get some of that work done. And again, a lot of green waste. It's just always green waste. Estates Road. This is an interesting spot, right? Y'all have been up there. And we always have a lot of illegal dumping up there. There's tires is such a huge problem for us. Just lots of dumping going on. There's a lot more traffic up there, which I think is helping a little bit, but it is constant. But fortunately, we have a lot of people that live in the area that report to us and let us know when something's happening. Sheriff's office, involuntary work crew is awesome about getting there and picking stuff up. I encourage everybody to use that app to report. You can just be out hiking and find a site and take a picture of it, and it'll geolocate and they will get on it. It's connected to the other side on Shinby Road, and lots of issues over there too. So this is just constant. I could be out at this site pretty much every day. Doing work, as I'm sure a lot of you that recreate and live up here. Programs people don't know about. I think people know us for these 2 big cleanups that we do, the Great Community Cleanup that we just did, and the Truckee River Cleanup, which this year is September 26th. But we also have like 350 to 400 other cleanups throughout the year, so we're out there almost every day. It might just be a business that's called and said they've got 50 staff members that want to come volunteer, and we'll send them out, or a group or whatever. So these are kind of the hot spots where we work a lot. I'm always willing to hear if you all know of other spots that need attention that are on public property. We only work on public property. You can always reach out to us and let us know. Send me pictures. We do have a part-time person now that's just driving around 1 day a week, hitting some hot spots, kind of picking up smaller trash piles before they grow into bigger trash piles. My email is at the end of this, and you can always send me pictures and information. But this is just a conglomerate of all the parks that we did. Some of these were multiple times with groups. We have an adopt a spot program. If you have a business or a Kiwanis group or somebody you work with that wants to have a specific spot where they can go volunteer, we just require you to go out 2 or 3 times a year and do a project. And we supply all of the materials. It's very turnkey. You just have to show up in your closed-toed shoes and jeans, and everything else will hand you to do the work. So I know it sounds weird, but it's fun. People have fun picking up trash. I think we've been to one of our big cleanups. Yeah, they're fun, right? And then we usually feed you after, so we definitely have a good time. Illegal dumping. I just want to hit on that here because it's just such a huge problem in our community. It's so layered. There's so many pieces to it. It's hard to get rid of stuff. People don't know how to get rid of stuff. It's expensive to get rid of stuff. They want to dump their refrigerator and then shoot it up, and then they think they should leave it for somebody else to continue shooting it up. We have a huge problem with tires and dumped vehicles, and it's just constant. Again, we could be out there every day just dealing with tires and vehicles. I know it's Sun Valley, but that area between Sun Valley and Coles out on Pyramid, we just did a count out there, and the number of vehicles is just, it's crazy. And all of us are trying to do everything we can to get them out, but it is a process. When I started here 3 years ago, I thought, oh, I'm just going to fix this problem. And I got humbled very quickly by how difficult it is to get these vehicles out. But if you see something, say something, take pictures, report it to the sheriff's office. They're doing a great job. But again, none of us can stay on top of it. But it is a huge issue in our open spaces. And I think people think it's not a big deal. And it's not close to the river or whatever, but everything ends up, contaminating downhill. So a lot of these have hazardous waste in them, paint, needles, things we have to deal with that are very problematic. But it's a huge issue in our surrounds, all of our desert areas. It's definitely a massive problem. Here's my email. Contact information. If I need it, send me a picture. I will send it on to our team, or I will get it to whoever needs to get it, depending on what it is. We can't always get out there the next day, but we will do our best, or we'll get it to the people that can. Just don't hesitate to call or send me a picture. And I should have had it on here, but I just wanted to plug our September 26th Truckee River cleanup. This focuses on the river and any tributary areas. So we'll be at probably 20-25 locations around town. And again, like I said, it's super fun. You come out, work for a couple hours, and then we'll feed you lunch. And everybody has a good time and make a huge impact. So if you haven't joined us, I encourage you to. So we have a good time. So that's all I've got. Want to be quick? Any questions? Or it'd be a laptop? Or any laptop?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Ben Johnson, the record. I don't have any questions, but just a comment. I think you guys do a great job.
Thank you.
It's a big boon to our community. Dealing with the tires on the cars and the trash. We all drive by, especially up here in North Valleys, driving Virginia Street up the north, and then anywhere out here, it's just gross, and wish people took better care of our environment that we all live in. But again, just appreciate all of you.
Thank you. We have fun and we work hard. I'm impressed that as many people come out to volunteer as do. It's incredible to me that people keep coming back in the thousands to volunteer. It's great.
Can you enable the virtual chat? Because I have some people who wanted to.
For this, yeah, we'll open public comment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is the city doing anything to make disposal easier, like in that area where you're out there every day and things like this station room?
Where we could be.
So, for public asking questions, give us a minute. I'll open it up to you guys.
Okay.
Just give us a minute, okay? And then we'll let you guys ask any questions you have.
I just wanted to say thank you so much. I know that this is the second time you've come out here.
Oh, it's okay.
First time.
The location is lovely.
Definitely. And you guys help us make it even more lovely, right? And I've been to the big cleanups and I really appreciate it. And you were talking about the ways that people can report illegal dumping, and you said we can report to you and to the sheriff's office. Is there any other, I know that there used to be like a line for dumping, but I don't think that that's in use anymore.
It is, 329 dump is the
Okay.
number, but that goes to the sheriff's office and it goes to the non-emergency line last we checked. The best option, if you're comfortable with it, is to download the sheriff's office app on your phone.
Okay.
And it is amazing because you just take a picture while you're standing there and it geolocates, it sends directly to the head of the work crew, and then he can parse it out, whether he calls us, somebody else, hazmat, whatever it is. And I send a lot of stuff to him too, but if it's easier just to send us an email, you can just send it directly to me, but whatever works. But that sheriff's app is awesome for that.
Gotcha. And then, I know that we always push Reno Direct. Is that something that we get from Reno Direct very often? Illegal, like
Yeah.
illegal dumping, like questions about it?
We call it in to, I mean, if it's true city limits, yeah, I mean, honestly, I tell people to call whoever.
Okay,
Call 5 different people
all
if you
run
need
through
to.
Jerome then.
Everybody's
Okay.
kind of talking to each other. I think the sheriff's office is the best first option. If it's not urban, if it's urban, I call Reno Direct, for sure. But it'll get somewhere. It might not happen the next day, but it'll get to the right person eventually.
No, I just wanted to make sure that, if, that I know where else
Yeah.
to go.
Reno Direct is great too. I mean, we've called stuff in our parking lot in Midtown and they're there the next day picking stuff up. So it's great. Yeah, they do a good job.
Anything else, Jessica?
But that's everything that I have.
No?
Kelly, or no comment, thank you.
Larissa, do you have any questions?
I do not, but thank you so much for coming out and giving us the updates.
For having me.
Megan, do you have anything?
No, I just wanted to also thank you guys for all the work that you do. I think we do have maybe a little more dumping out in our ward than some other areas in Reno, and I appreciate all the efforts out here organizing and doing the work. So I just wanted to say thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll open up to public comment on this.
Yes, and if you're on Zoom and would like to make public comment, please just raise your hand.
Is anyone, yeah, go ahead.
So are they making it easier maybe for these people to dispose of stuff? I know like to react, I appreciate what you guys do. I go out one day here when I'm working, we go out into the river, which is awesome. But they somehow make it easier for people to dispose of their goods.
It is hard. I mean,
If we left dumpster on a state road, like, do
yeah.
you think they'd use it? Anything we do that?
Well, there have been a couple times where dumpsters have been left by accident after our big
Yeah.
events, like on Estates and Chimney.
Yeah.
And it's the best thing ever because some people at least get close.
Yeah.
It's not realistic financially to keep a dumpster out there all the time, unfortunately. I would love nothing more
Yeah.
than to have dumpsters sitting out there all the time. I mean, then we're getting to the point now where we have people dumping the night before our events because they know we're coming. And part of me hates that, but part of me is glad at least it's there where we could get it. The city has done a great job with the drop-offs that they do generally the spring and the fall. I don't know if you know when are they doing them in the fall, do you know?
Oh, no,
Yeah,
they are.
okay, good. So those are great. They kind of hover between sometimes having hazardous waste or e-waste not being accepted. And it's all about fun. I mean, that stuff's expensive to get rid of. It's, it can be $50 for a tire to get rid of. So that's a problem too. I mean, it's really expensive for people, not excusing the dumping, but
Yeah.
I'm getting rid of a mattress. In the old days, you buy a mattress and they take your old one away. And now people are buying them online. So how do you get rid of that online? If you don't have. Yeah, it's just,
Charging that $50 or the charge for tires,
tires get really expensive. Yeah, they're hard to get rid of.
who charges the money to get rid of the tires?
So Waste Management will charge you, there's a couple companies that you can take them to. If you're getting them changed at a shop, you pay
Yeah.
to do that. But we have a huge illegal dumping problem with tires. There's commercial groups that are dumping
Wow.
200 tires at a time. You guys might have seen that story of somebody that got arrested this summer or this past spring over off of Quaintview. I couldn't have been happier that that got as much publicity as it did, because he was out there with, I think, 250 tires.
And he comes from Vinton.
Yeah, that was a whole interesting thing. And then the next day, there was somebody out on the reservation that got caught, and the more publicity around that, I think it makes people nervous. But yeah, I wish I had a better answer. I mean, we need big systemic change to fix this problem. So in the meantime, we're just gonna go clean it up as best we can.
Thank you.
But good
And then,
question.
you say your name for the record, please? Brandon. And then moving forward, when you make public comment, which will definitely get to you next, sir, just state your name for the record. We have to notate that. So go ahead.
I'm Monty Turner. I live in Sun Valley and I get right where the road goes to Red Peak. We went up there and took pictures of them. We got 19 cars on that road and 4 more RVs that are destroyed. Just
Oh, was
destroyed.
it the big camp?
Oh, and it's like 4 or 5 big camps, not big
Yeah, I
camps.
think I know
There's
what
4 or
you're
5
talking
of them. And they're just tore up to pieces and they're putting those new apartments up there. We're having all kinds of problems with those guys. And then the other one that I've noticed that's been real bad, nobody's been able to do anything about it, was Chesapeake Drive and the Hungry Valley Drive. That one gets hit hard. Mickey Arnold lives out there and he's always dragging something out of the way from his driveway.
Okay, I will.
See, we have a big record. We're going to go up there and pull the cars down. And I was told if I bring it down to another person's property, I can go to jail.
Yep.
So guess what? They're going to sit there and rot.
Yeah, that is tough. I mean, we encourage all our off-roaders, don't pull a vehicle without permission, because man, that can just land you in all kinds of trouble. And our issue too is public versus private property. RVs are a whole nother level of difficult that we don't even deal with because we can't afford it. I mean, it can be $5,000 to
Easy,
deal with an
easy.
RV easily if there's no hazardous. And the longer it sits, the worse it gets. So that one's just a huge another problem. But I think I saw the pictures of the Sun Valley one, but I'm gonna make note of Chesapeake.
It's Chesapeake Drive and Lemon Valley is the one. I think Chesapeake out
Okay.
and start heading towards Hungry Valley and Mitch, you hit the dirt, it's a mess.
Okay.
But I have a suggestion. Why don't you put a little sign up saying Washington County Sheriff's Department drone on duty?
Yeah, I will pass that on. I mean,
Because if they think they're being watched, they're not gonna do it.
the signs tend to get shot up, but yeah, I agree. I mean, we haven't had that conversation about signage and even doing stings. There's a lot of people doing, like somebody will put on next door, they need their backyard cleaned out, and some guy with a trailer is like, I'll do it for $50. And they're not taking it to the landfill because it costs more than that. So we're working with BLM and Forest Service on trying to work on that, but it's a huge problem.
Well, we run
That's
the
what-
radio sites up there and they get hit all the time.
Yeah.
We're a mess. Well, somebody dropped a load of bricks in front of the radio site, so I put a little sign, free to good home. It was gone the next
Oh,
day.
good. Well,
They must have thought there was something good in it.
that's a strategy.
It was gone the next morning. I couldn't believe it. I said, wow, I could do that again.
Thank you for caring about it.
Well, we own that. Crazy.
Alrighty, is there anyone else in your room that has a public comment for it?
Online.
Yeah, we do have one online. Go ahead.
Wendy Rowley, when you're ready, just unmute your mic, state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. I'm Wendy Baroli, and I really appreciate this discussion. We have had a car that started out actually in one piece with just a sticker on it on the edge of the road right near Border Town. And over the last, literally, it will be 9 months, we have watched the car lose its tires, lose parts of its engine. It was basically put up on blocks. They scrapped things from it, and now it's been pushed over the edge. It has like 4 stickers on it already. And what I was trying to understand is there something we can do as citizens to actually contact the state legislature to allow these kinds of dumped vehicles to be picked up by towing companies? My understanding was it was because of having to find out the past ownership, and it had something to do with like the onerous process of tracing if it was stolen or dumped or any of that kind of stuff. Is that true or not true?
That is absolutely true. That was one of the things we had AB 415 bill. AB 415 went through the legislature this last session, closed one of the loopholes. The loophole you're talking about, though, like if I sell you a car, it's on you to change that title. And if that car gets sold 15 more times and then stolen and dumped, they still have to do the research to go all the way back. So the goal was to get that law changed so that you could change the title as a seller. So the problem with it, though, is our governor did not want to sign anything with a fiscal impact, and that was going to have a fiscal impact with the DMV. So we're kind of waiting that one out with the groups that we work with on that kind of stuff to see if we can get that through at a later date. It's not going to solve it, but it would help a little bit. It would help a lot, probably, if we could get that through, but it'll take some time. In the meantime, if you have my email and want to send me a picture with a geolocation of that, I can at least dive into it and see what's happening and get back to you.
That's great. But I do think it's a citizens, I mean, if we need to call every single day or write a letter, I think sometimes, you guys get heard, but we're not speaking. We're complaining. We're complaining on neighborhood and we're complaining on Facebook and we're complaining at these meetings. But what we really need to be doing is all of us together, just hard hit them to demand that this actually is something that really happens. I mean, when I grew up out in the North Valleys back when Golden Valley had, 25 houses, the instant there was a dumped car, the tow trucks could come and they smashed those things and they, scrapped them up. And right now it's just become so litigious for someone to dump a stolen or car that might have been in a crime or something like that. But I really think I think this is the citizens' job and we can help you. Maybe you can tell us, exactly maybe a script that we can have that we can call and contact them because I think that's the best action that can happen so that we can help add voice to this.
Totally agree. I will say AB 15 that went through, AB 415, sorry, I think, did close a little bit of the loophole. We were having an issue with towing companies. They don't want those vehicles because they can't get any money out of them. I totally get that from a business perspective. That closed a loophole with them with not letting them spoof their location so they didn't look like they were close to that vehicle they didn't want to get. Small thing, but it did get fixed. But I agree. This is a much bigger issue. It's much bigger than me and my org, but yeah, it's going to take some serious work. I agree.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you, Wendy.
Sorry, I'm not any help, but much help. But
Is there anyone else on?
do not have. Okay, it's raised online. Thank you, and thank you for moving me earlier so I can go home.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we're gonna go on.
All right, well, mine is like a perfect segue. I know we were talking about Reno Direct. So I'm here to give you two updates and one specifically on public engagement and Reno Direct towards the end. My name is Noemi Gomez Martinez and I serve as the manager for their community relations division. And so we're just excited to be here and really provide you an update on what the city of Reno is doing in regards to public engagement. We have a plan that's coming our way and we do want to share if there are any recommendations, feedback, and or comments. We also welcome that as we're finalizing the plan itself. So just a quick overview. These are just a few ways that the city of Reno is engaging our public, and it looks very different. It can be informal and formal. Here today, we will consider this more of a formal meeting, being part of a NAB. But the purpose is really how do we engage our members of our public when it comes to decision making, or simply just being involved in understanding and knowing some of the information that the city is trying to put out. These are just examples. There are many different forms of examples. We don't have everything on here, but it could look like focus groups, meetings like this, which are more formal, online force, meet and greet, surveys. So if you just think about some ways that you engage, maybe you go to events, you're learning on different things, you're reaching out to your council members. These are just different ways. Also, our social media, we have our communications department. We have 5 different platforms where media is pushed out. There's over 340,000 subscribers in various platforms, and those are other ways that information is getting pushed out. So there's a lot of different ways. It just looks very different, and as individuals, you all take information very different. So as we're creating this plan, it's important that we also have a good range of different ways that we're engaging our community. So why does it matter? We often talk about that when we have information that's going out, it's important that it's really transparent, it's easy to understand. Not sure how many times you've been to perhaps meetings and or getting information, and sometimes we don't understand where it's coming from. It's a lot of acronyms. So it's important that as we're pushing out information and we're trying to engage our community, we take this into account for it to be transparent, being able to make better decision making throughout the process. And understanding why you're participating and why the outcome is the way that it is. It's also very important for us that it's accessible, and accessible means something very different. For example, getting to this meeting here today, perhaps someone needs to take the bus to get here, or they need wheelchair access. How do you get to this room? Maybe there's a language barrier that we need to accommodate. So access looks very different. So we also take into account when we're doing engagement. These are just levels of participation. I'm going to talk a little bit about what model we're specifically using, but we do focus on what we call advisors. Example, here today, we would see our members of our committee as advisors, our members of our community as advisors when it comes to if we're looking for input. You also serve in that capacity, but it helps really support those decision makings. And as we're taking it, for example, to our Reno City Council members, members and or members of the city of Reno, we want to ensure that we're providing that information that's being shared with us. A few months ago, we did go out, I guess now 2025, so it's been over a few months. We did go out to do a process of public engagement before we really started that plan. And what we asked is, what does that look like for you? If the city of Reno is reaching out to you or trying to engage, what matters to you? And there were 6 drop-in sessions, there were community meetings, boards and commissions. There was a survey that we received 358. We had over 700 members of our community that are also participated throughout the process. And what we found, there's an entire report that can be found on Reno.gov under community relations and services. But in short, this just summarizes some of the key findings from this survey. Just a few that really stood out. We found that, let me see, the structure of close to 80% of participants share that they prefer more of an informal structure when it comes to engagement rather than having more of a formal structure. Also, 44% share that having a one topic when it comes to engaging and making decisions seems to be a bit more proactive than having multiple in just one. It doesn't mean that's the way it's going to be, but it's just what was shared. We also found that having a hybrid option is also very important. And after the pandemic, as I'm sure many of us can relate here, it changed our lives in a lot of different ways. And we also found that the hybrid options has been a good option. Like right now, we have people are able to participate from the comfort of the location that they're in. So now, just as in summary, when it comes to engagement, one of the models that we are adopting is what we call in short the IAP2 model, which is another model that's used, it's globally used. We did apply for this to use a model, and it has 5 levels of participation. So if you're looking at this chart, the simplest way to look at it is towards the left-hand side, it's more on information that's being pushed out. And the further we go to the right-hand side is members of our community are making those decisions. So as our division is working with our departments and our communities, we're assessing how what projects are being pushed out for our community and what's the best approach. It's very different than saying, because we think this is the best way to get engagement compared to this is a model and we're assessing everything and trying to figure out which specific platform we're trying to use. So it tells you a little bit about the more on the inform to empower. They're all very different. As well as different techniques are being used. But we have done a lot of research on what's the best approach. And like I said, it's globally being used. Cities like Cincinnati in Canada are using this. City of San Diego is using this model as well. So we're just excited to implement this as part of our plan. And where are we now? As mentioned, we are in the final stages of our public engagement plan, which will go public. And it's just a plan on how we're going to be informing and engaging with our community. So if anybody here today does have any additional examples, we'll love to take those back to our team and also incorporate and implement. We also started soft launching and rolling this out with our departments in-house. We're also be launching a public engagement platform fairly soon that complements this. So if they're doing engagement, we want to make it as easy and accessible for all of our users to access. And so you know what's happening in your neighborhoods and the city of Reno as a whole. We also have an email. So you can always email us at community@reno.gov. And we have different tools that will be coming. So if you visit also Reno.gov, you can also find all these tools. I'll talk a little bit about Reno Direct, but everything that we have here today is also accessible. And lastly, I know this, we probably already been talking about Reno Direct, but I'm just talking a little bit of piece of my hats that I wear. As many, I'm sure we all wear multiple hats in our lives, and so I oversee our Reno Direct division as well, falls under us. And as mentioned, you can call Reno Direct if you don't know what phone number, where it goes, you want to report a pothole, graffiti, illegal dumping. You can just call Reno Direct. We're there from Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. or you can also submit service requests online 24/7. A unique thing is you can call or you can submit information anonymously, or if you want to get updates, you can also put your information down. Our team routes will get the information. If it's not within our jurisdiction, they'll make sure they'll get you over to the right one, give you that education. But if it is, they'll put that into the system and it gets routed to the appropriate department for handling. I brought with me this handy one-page sheeter on just numbers. Who do you call? Like what happens if your tree falls down or there's a power outage? Changes in bus routes, airport closures. This is a really handy sheet. So it's online. I brought a few extra copies as well. And there's also this document that I brought with me. It is how do you submit Reno Direct service requests online. And so it's just a one-sheeter as well. So if you haven't used it, I really do encourage you to. Everyone has different experiences. And so hopefully you can give us a chance if you haven't done so already. We're also bilingual, so we have multilingual anyone provide the support. And lastly, we also have this resource guide. That's really handy. It has phone numbers. I'm sure many of you have been trying to look for phone numbers. You can go online, or we have this handy resource guide. In the back, we have community and regional resources that you can also take. So it's alphabetized and it's easy for you to find. And that's it. I'll take any questions if there are any.
Thank you very much. Ben Johnson for record. So I don't really have a question, it's more of a comment, kind of like the last one, but you know, once we start getting rolling on the public engagement, I think everyone in the community they appreciate the feedback of once it's like a year in of what the community got involved with, what was changed. I think a lot of times we come to meetings like this, we feel like we're shouting into the wind and we're going, no, please stop, you need to change this. Things don't change. Or things go through that we don't like, even though the whole community is saying stop. So when you do these public engagements, by the end, if there's something that can come of it, that can be changed and fixed, I think that'd be a good thing to circle back on and then inform the community, maybe each ward. I mean, obviously Ward 4 meeting, but you know, if there's something that public gets involved with in our ward, we're able to fix and change, come back a year later, let us know what those things were to know it's working. Because I think I'm pretty sure most people feel the same way. I don't want to engage if nothing can come. Because then I just feel like I'm wasting my time.
I hear you, and that's a very common thing that we do get. We can absolutely come back. I will say that everything that we do within our division and our department is data driven. I can sit here and tell you information, but if I'm not showing you and providing those data points, it's not there's no validity to it. So we will definitely be tracking what projects are coming down our line, what departments and divisions are working with us. And as we roll this out, we'll be more than happy to come back and share what specifically for Ward 4 projects were part of that plan and the process that we used.
Thank you.
I have no questions. Thank you so much for presenting.
Kelly Orr for the record. I have a question. Do you guys, I know you're just rolling out with this. Is this something that you're going to do and make known for like high school students or our seniors? Like
resources? Yes. Oh, yes. So we put these out in all the rec centers. With our senior community, we push these out. If you want some of these for your workplace, please reach out. We'll be more than happy to provide these. We have a lot instead of new order and we just put them out in our community and with businesses.
Because I think it'd be great for like just our seniors, but also our younger community that's getting ready to be adults and taxpayers. So
Talking about seniors in high school.
Yeah, seniors in high school and senior citizens, but she said she already gets enough.
Yes, we do have a senior coordinator in our division who does outreach to our senior community, and these are absolutely comes with us.
Perfect. Thank you.
Larissa, do you have anything?
I do not. Thank you guys very much though for the update.
Okay. Megan?
So not at this time. Thank you for the updates.
Okay. We'll go to public comment. Is anyone in the public would like to make a comment or question? If you do, just remember to state your name first. Ask away. Anyone? Anyone online? All right, I think you're good. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna go on to our developments. We're gonna go to B1 and B2. They're actually the same, similar thing, so. Let's see those right now.
All right, good evening. My name is Eric Casey. I'm with Wood Rogers. I'm representing the owner and the applicant of this property, Powerhouse Construction. He is a local landscaper that is looking to relocate his business to this site. Like I said, this is two items. There's the zoning map amendment associated with this, as well as conditional use permit and a major deviation. To give you an idea where the site is located, this is located about half a mile north of Panther Valley and North Virginia Street. It is located directly off of North Virginia Street across from the intersection of Wellington Way, and it's a little less than 17 acres inside of there. So looking at the first request, the zone change is pretty simple. We're trying to bring the site into compliance. Currently, right now, the master plan is mixed employment. That was updated with the Reimagine Reno master plan. So the current zoning designation, which is mixed use suburban, is not conforming with the underlying master plan. And so, City of Reno's preference is to have the zoning and the master plan be in alignment when you're proposing to develop something. So that's why we are requesting this. This is what the zoning is going to be. If this is approved, it's mixed employment. So mixed employment, master plan designation with mixed employment zoning. This would be in conformance with the master plan, and it's also in conformance with several of the properties who've already gone through this process since they updated the master plan. So that's it for the zone change. Getting into the conditional use permit, I'd just like to point out a few things on this site. So this is the site highlighted here in blue. And this is looking south. So we have North Virginia Street on the right, if you're looking at it. There are surrounding properties to the south, east, and west that are zoned residential. That SF3 zone parcel is a vacant parcel that is owned by the HOAs to the south of that. So it is kind of like a common area. There's not a good chance that future homes will be developed on there. But because of Reno zoning code, we do have to take that into consideration. And then across from North Virginia Street, you do have existing single-family homes that are zoned as residential. But to the north of the site, just to the along security circle, there are commercial properties. You can see that there are very similar uses. We are proposing an outdoor storage component with this landscaping business, which is very similar to what is currently existing there. And so you have a 7-Eleven. You have all these other construction companies that have this component of outdoor storage. So what we are proposing is not different from what's there to the north of the site. There is a riparian area that is on the site. It comes off of the flow from the North Virginia Street. We did have this examined to make sure that it wasn't wetlands. It didn't have the characteristics that classify as wetlands, but it is a riparian area. There is willows and everything growing in there. And part of the conditional use permit requires us to try to protect those. So that's what we're going to be doing with this layout. So there is a lot of components to this. So I'll try to break it down as best as I can. The use that we're going for on parcel 1 is the maintenance, repair, and renovation business. That's what City of Reno code identifies this as. And this use is allowed in the proposed zoning as well as the current zoning. So we are just doing the zone change to bring this into compliance. But we are proposing 3 parcels on this. This will be a future mapping exercise if this does get approved, but the grading is for the entire site. So what the goal is to create 3 different parcels with 3 different pads. That it will have a private drive that goes around it and provides 2 points of access onto North Virginia Street. The main access in the north will line up with Wellington Way. I'd also like to point out that RTC is planning to do the expansion of North Virginia Street on here. So we did incorporate their 60% design into our design, and we will be working with them going forward to make sure that we aren't doing anything that is going to be impacted by that expansion. So looking at the conditional use permit for grading, this we are proposing cuts deeper than 20 feet. Those are highlighted there in red, and fills greater than 10 feet. Those are highlighted there in the light blue. This does also trigger hillside development standards. As you saw in the first picture, this does have hillside slopes that are greater than 15%. And so we do trigger that. So there's a limited amount that we can disturb. When you do the calculation from the city of Sparks or city of Reno code, comes out to 4.33 acres. We are proposing to have 5.41. So over 1 acre more than what we're required. And again, you can see this riparian area that's highlighted there. We are proposing to stay out of that. No grading will be in there except for bringing in the road for the southern access point. Okay, so, and then the other portion of this is establishing a non-residential use next to a residentially zoned parcel. There is going to be a building associated with this. This is going to be a small building. Most of this site for parcel 1 will be dedicated to open or to outdoor storage. So there will be a 5,000 square foot building there. That's just for like office and everything. There will be a parking lot. It will be off the main drive. And then we will have to establish a outdoor use. So the major deviation is just to the outdoor use itself. City code does not requires that outdoor use is kind of screened by a building. Since we have these residentially zoned properties across from North Virginia Street and to the south of the site, and because of the size of the building and how big the outdoor storage is going to be, this is kind of hard for us to accomplish with this. And so we are asking for a major deviation to reduce the residential adjacency for the outdoor storage from 300 feet to 150 feet. And so you can see that the outdoor storage that is highlighted there in pink is now going to be offset 150 feet from the southern parcel boundary and 190 feet from the nearest parcel, residentially zoned parcel across from Virginia. So looking at the screening and everything like that to make sure that we're screening for the outdoor use. This is our landscape plan. The reason why the landscape is set so far back from the existing Virginia Street is to accommodate the expansion of North Virginia Street with RTC's plans. So in a couple of years, if this goes forward first and then RTC comes in, we won't have to rip up any of the landscaping. That can stay in there. It'll still act as the screen for the outdoor storage use. We will be proposing a 6-foot tall solid fence around the site as well and around the building. So we submitted this application in May. We're here tonight at the Ward 4 NAV. City of Reno staff will be completing their staff report in the next few weeks, and we are planning to go to the Planning Commission on August. So with that, this is my contact information. Again, my name is Eric Hasty. Nathan Gilbert is the City of Reno planner. And if you have any additional comments that you'd like to get forward on to the Planning Commission, there's a link here that you can do that. So I would be happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Eric. 1 second, we'll go to public comment real quickly. Ben Johnson for record. So I'm kind of confused. So you have a building for the office.
Yep.
And it's like an empty lot, and what are we storing on there? I don't understand.
So it's the site will store like rock, mulch, landscaping materials.
Got it. Okay.
So this is where they'll store all of the materials they use for their landscaping business. So that's why a majority of the site is there. Like they just really need a place.
Open land, basically.
Correct. Yeah. So it will. Yeah. So that's going to be that area right in there. It's going to be fenced and screened, and then that building itself is really just for office use and for employees.
Okay. So and then the issue with the picture might be reversed. So is it to the bottom of the screen north? Am I correct? No, it's south. Okay. So, but it's 150 feet south to a residential parcel, correct?
Residentially
the-
zoned parcel, yes,
and
but
that's
that is the common area that I showed in that first picture that doesn't have any homes on it. It's owned by an HOA. So there's no homes existed, but we still, because of this code, have to be.
Understood. Why don't you go laterally instead of vertically when I'm looking at this picture for that, so that you meet that 300 feet, minimum?
So,
Right, so if I'm looking at your picture here.
Yeah.
Right, it's from that border to the bottom of the screen is only gonna be 150 feet, that's the major, right?
correct.
But if it was, instead you went to the right of the screen, would that not meet the same goals that you guys have, then you don't have to do a major zoning change?
So onto potential, are you talking about on the?
Yeah,
potential
like the parcel 2 and 3, do you not own parcel 2 and 3?
So those are for future development, right?
Okay.
And so those would most likely have to go through the same process if they were going to be proposing a similar use. But they could also be proposing a different use. We're not sure yet, but the CUP itself is only for the parcel 1.
Okay, that's the only questions I have.
And they're still, so just to answer your question too, that would still not get off of it because the adjacent parcel to the east
Wraps around it.
is residential zone as well.
Okay.
Thanks for being here. I guess, since it is near a neighborhood, are there going to be like a lot of commercial trucks or, like debris or aggregate that comes off of, these piles of mulch and dirt, stuff like that? I guess, can you paint me a little bit of a better picture of like how the neighborhood is gonna be affected by that?
Yeah, so again, this is along Virginia Street, right? And to the north of it is the same similar uses that exist there right now. And so any deliveries or anything like that are going to be will be during business hours, just routine business hours. So it's probably going to be Monday through Friday between 7 and 5.
And then, how are the materials gonna be stored? Is it just like, I apologize, I'm not in construction, and so is it just like out in the open?
Right, so they'll have to be behind the screen fence. And just depending on what type of materials it is, sometimes it's on pallets, sometimes it is just stored on the ground. Others times it's in little, containment so that they can scoop it up and load it on the trucks.
And you guys, you were saying that you guys don't suspect that HOA is going to build on the land that they own next to it? Is that
Well,
what you were saying?
I have no idea, but typically that would require an HOA to decide that they wanted to build new homes on there.
Right.
So,
Gotcha.
so it's still, all these things are still applying to it, but the likelihood of that actually happening.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, gonna be a minute. Kelly, we're for the record, I have 2 pages of questions. And kind of maybe some comments. So I see this as a major deviation plan because of the 300 setback now to 150. Is that correct? So all the residents that are adjacent and below are going to be impacted, along with the 30,000 people that commute daily, even though there's going to be adjustments in the future to that road. I guess my first question is the erosion and instability, like with the massive setback cuts on the hillside. What does that look like? Do you have like what the site map looks like now and what you're planning to have it look like in the future?
So these are proposing the hillside treatments, right? So like the hatched area is riprap, right? So along the 2-to-1 slopes or 3-to-1 slopes, what we're proposing on there will have to be armored with riprap. Yeah.
And then the visual scarring, a 20-foot cut will permanently disfigure the natural hillside terrain, creating an industrial eyesore visible from the North Valleys area and surrounding residents, because now they're going to see buildings
there instead of, the beautiful landscapes. Do you have what is planned in the future on those parcels, or you guys don't have that?
Right now, we're only proposing development on the first parcel. The grading will just be to grade pads for future development of the parcels 2 and 3. We're not sure what those are doing.
And then with the acoustic disturbances of landscaping, construction, operating heavy machinery, commercial trucks coming in and out, or is that just gonna be the landscaping companies' trucks going in and out? What does their fleet look like? What does that look like on that property?
It's just it's going to be storage for the materials for the actual business itself.
Right, but they have to go pick them up, right? Who picks them up?
Well, yeah, either that or they have it delivered there. Correct.
And then what are their operation hours?
Right now they're going to be operating Monday through Friday, from 7 to 5 typically.
What do they do for their air quality and dust mitigation?
They'll have to abide by all the state regulations.
Just because they're in a frequent, like a higher wind pattern area. So that's what I was just getting to. So the high winds of the area change, like with frequencies in both directions. What are you guys doing for dust mitigation and impact to the neighbors with the materials blowing around?
Yeah, so for the grading and during construction, you have to have a dust mitigation plan. And so that will be going on with the construction. And then they will also be responsible as the business to make sure that they are suppressing any dust and have a dust control plan, most likely to operate with a business license.
Okay, so you don't have that. Okay. Did you guys work with RTC or the city of Reno to do a comprehensive traffic study for impact?
So this doesn't trigger the traffic study, but we have been working with RTC. We will continue to work with RTC to make sure that we're in compliance with the design and everything going forward.
And then, do you have any engineered stormwater management plan for the 20-foot cuts?
So we do have a proposed detention pond, which will be able to release the flows in a similar pattern as required. So we do have a detention pond on site.
Did you guys think about maybe doing like a completely enclosed sound dampening wall buffer instead of a fence? Do you have a picture of what that fence may look like? Because you're so close to the homeowners.
Right. Like right now, we do not have that. It's required to be a solid fence. That's the minimum. But I don't know what it's going to look like.
Well, I look forward to going to that meeting. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Kelly. Larissa, do you have anything?
Hi, yeah, I think Kelly covered most of it, so thank you very much.
Okay. Megan?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna go into public comment. So if you do have a public comment, raise your hand, I'll call on to you. But yeah, just gonna state your name first for the record before you start asking questions. So go ahead, sir.
Sure, for the record, Matt Basil, resident. I was just curious, it wasn't mentioned that they're also a C5 concrete contractor. And then it looked like on the landscaping plan, like the spacing was of the trees were about 30 feet or so. So it seems like inadequate for screening purposes. And then I also noticed that there was already work taking place on it. So.
Yeah, so the screening will be designed to City of Reno standards, right? And for the grading, right, that was what got them to come here, right? They started grading, they stopped, and they are going through this process now.
Got
Mm-hmm. Is it triggered?
it. Anyone else? Go ahead, sir.
Monty Turner, she brought up a good point. You say that doesn't trigger a traffic study. I'm gonna call it boo-hooey. You get some triple trailers up there, you got like 200,000 pounds of rock going there per a couple of trucks. I mean, you got a lot, you've got a pound that road. Especially when you're pulling that road and coming down, you're gonna be pounding. That's right. What are you doing to mitigate that?
We will mitigate it as city Reno code requires.
Okay, that sounds like you have it, so.
All right.
If we're left for the record, I just have a quick comment. Keep saying it's the standard. Why are we not going above standard? Why are we trying to do better? That's just fair. But that's my only comment. I don't need your.
Right.
Brandon, I think just saying like there's already, the same kind of property just to the north. Using that as an excuse to develop to the south is kind of weird. These are impacting all the other, just on the other side of the road. And I mean, there's gonna be trucks going in and out every day, backing up with the all day long for hours, making dust, making everything else. I think it's horrible. That's my comment.
Pick two on mine as well. So we're gonna do Laura, and when you're ready, unmute your mic and state your name for the record, then we'll go to Patty Johnson.
Hi, everybody. My name is Laura Henry. I'm a resident. Given that large mulch piles can generate internal heat and have led to fires and spontaneous ignition when stored for periods of time, and considering this corridor already has significant traffic congestion, I'm just wondering if y'all could walk me through like what limits or controls you'll have on mulch size, spacing, and monitoring to prevent spontaneous combustion, and what fire remediation plans do you have in place? Thank you.
I cannot answer that question right now. This is not my level of expertise with the landscape. I'm a planner, and so I can ask the applicant and give that to the.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Patty Johnson. Unmute your mic when you're ready and state your name for the record.
My name is Patty Johnson. I've lived in this area, actually, Golden Valley, for 30 years. My concern is basically, is this landscape type company going to be like a Reno.gov, where there are semis and triple trailers coming in and out? And that's my first question. The second question is, if the other two parcels are not spoken for, why are we not trying to meet the distance that it needs to be from the road? And how can we keep allowing building here until we have the proper road structure? Because there is no way for anyone to get up and down Virginia Street as it is today.
Okay. So I'll try to remember all of those. So
First,
we're not sure what the other two parcels are going to be, but if they will most likely trigger a CUP of some kind because of non-residential. And so when those do come up, they will have to most likely go through public process.
yes, they'll have to go through that. But the question is why, since there's no one there today, why are we trying to get a deviation to build something when there's no restrictions today to go farther back?
The restriction itself just apply to the outdoor storage.
The outdoor streets, you said?
The outdoor storage use.
But you're saying you're going to go shorter than the 300 feet, right?
For the outdoor storage use, yes.
Okay, but why would we be doing that when you have all that land behind it that's going to be open? I mean, I feel very sorry for the people across the street from this, to be honest, if it goes through.
Well, the zoning, the master plan allow for this use. We're just bringing in.
And how are they going to handle all the traffic there? We already can't get across Virginia Street.
Yeah, well, I can have some more information about what types of materials and delivery will be there for.
And is it going to be like a Reno.gov, or is it a private landscape company like Reno Green?
I'll have that information, the planning commission.
Because if it's a Reno.gov, they're selling to the public versus somebody else selling out, and only trucks are coming in and out and not people in their trailers and their trucks, like the public. So that's a big difference in the amount of traffic.
Alrighty, thank you. We have one more.
Wendy Baroli, unmute your mic, state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you very much for letting me to comment. My name is Wendy Baroli, and interestingly enough, I have very, very detailed information about what landscape companies do. I have 100 acres, and I would be more concerned also if it is even like Reno Green, because Reno Green 3 times a month comes out with double semi trucks to take their mulch to my 100-acre property because they cannot keep it on site. And that would be the concern that I would have is, are they going to be mulching on site? Will they be mulching, materials from their landscape company? I think all of those things actually have to be answered before this could be passed, because pallets of dry goods are completely different than running all of the landscape materials through a mulching machine. And if this is an allowed business, it would be something that I, as a resident, would be very concerned about.
Try to have more information.
Thank you, Wendy. With that, I don't have anyone else online.
Okay, Ben Johnson, Rick, I do want to say something. It's hard thing to swallow a lot of the times where someone's property, they own it, they get to do certain things that we don't agree with as a community. Obviously, what you're proposing goes against the guidelines, so you're trying to get that fixed. I would think though that since it's a landscaping company, that they would have the expertise and ability to make this actually look really nice. I think there's quite a few properties up in the North Valley, like different apartment complexes up here that have done really well for landscaping to add to the community. You don't have to make any comment on that. I would just ask if you maybe share that with your team. And I think that would be an easier pill for us to swallow, because we know a lot of this property is just infill, right? A lot of land, so we're just filling it with whatever anyone wants to come up with. But trying to make it look nice is a big deal to us up here. So if you could pass that along, I'd appreciate it. All right, we're going to move on. Thank you very much, sir. We're going to move on to item B3. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. It's been at this podium for a while. Does this work? Okay, here we go. Thank you. Thank you for having us this evening. My name is John. I'm with KLS Planning, representing Rob Fitzgerald. He's the developer, home builder. He's developed. Does this pointer work here?
Kind of. Wait, give it a minute.
Give it a minute.
Give it a sec. It needs me to do something.
Okay, we're good. So there's an introductory slide. You can see our site there. MVE 5, 394 single family homes. They're townhomes in this case. The conditional use permit for the units, that's a trigger in the development code. And then grading of cuts and fills greater than 20 and 10 feet. And we're also disturbing, and I note, restoring a major drainage way. That sincerely, and we'll get into that in just a minute. Actually, I wanted to go back to, this is kind of the completion element of this area. We've master planned it for just about 20 years now. Mr. Fitzgerald developed MVE 1, 2, and 3, then 4. This was rezoned a couple of years. It is MF 14 as it sits today. And that basically completes all of the development of this area. Comstock Cottages is a street that extends down here and ultimately down to Comstock Road and Virginia Street as another way out. And then, of course, University Ridge has been there for many, many years, just to the south of us. And of course, there's some multifamily there's one in construction here and then a couple of multifamily projects adjacent over here to the east. And then you know about the connection over here to the freeway. Here's our landscape plan. I wanted to share this with the community because these kind of things are important in the case of planning for housing, and particularly this kind of density. There's a way we can do it and make it very livable and nice to live in and still achieve certain pricing incentives. That's the idea. So what we have is these little amenity areas. You can see in the red stars that include this list of amenities. We're going to tailor that over time, but that's the preparation of the landscape plan as it sits today with our landscape architect and our design team. Mr. Fitzgerald and his architect get together and understand the market very well, and then we figure out exactly what's going where in the landscape and the amenities. This is the drainage way. I've worked on MVE 1, 2, 3, 4, and this came up in somebody's analysis that says, there's a simple trigger in the city code. If you are draining an area of 100 acres, then it is a major drainage way. Doesn't mean there's a lot of water, but that's the threshold, and so we have to deal with it. So there's this tiny little area that's isolated to this area right here that actually qualifies because it's the water moving down to this point. It's then carrying 100 acres. And so what we're doing is identifying that as the major drainage way area, and it's really just a restoration is what we're doing. Fixing it and restoring it by way of plant material, access to it, and some reseeding. There is the project character. It gives you good perspective. You can see the tuck under. So we have that cantilever living area under the garage. These are the 2-car garages. There's the 1-car garage next to it. But that gives a good idea of how the project works, the 2 stories of living on top of the garages. A little more detail on the concept. Footprint mapping, that's basically townhomes, right? So everything else is common area, but you own the land that is your lot area in the case of a townhome project. This limited common element is a private yard exclusive for each of the property owners. 2, 3, and 4-bedroom homes ranging from 1,300 to about 1,900 square feet, give or take. Garage and driveway parking for every home. No street parking. That's intentional because of the density. It actually becomes very cumbersome and hazardous to have street parking when you're a lot of driveway cuts and such. So it's a good thing to not have parking and prohibit it. And then all streets are private, and all of the landscape and all of the area that's not the limited common element is in fact HOA common area and HOA maintained. A little bit more about parking detail. I think it comes up a lot in community meetings, so I wanted to create a slide on this. And so the code says, the code is the code. A lot of times the code isn't right, and we'll make big decisions on housing product based on what real parking demands are versus what the code says. So in this case, the code requires 2 per unit. You can see we're closer to 3 at 1,100 spaces, 1,103 spaces. And that's the sum of the 2-car garages, the 1-car garages, the shared parking area, and then the driveways that, of course, are exclusive for each of the units. Traffic. This is a slide from our traffic engineer, GCW, Lauren Chilson. Probably the single biggest issue. You guys get it. It comes up a lot in planning of projects. So what we have here is the study areas. You can see Ferrari, McLeod, and Parr, which is the key intersection. And then also about how that relates to the on-ramps, right? Because most of the traffic obviously gravities its way out of here, moves to the freeway, and goes down the freeway. That's the most natural course. Some will slide to the south if you're going to be going down North Virginia Street. Some will go west on Park Boulevard. But we have tripped up a traffic light at that location on symbol number 1 at Ferrari McLeod and Park Boulevard. That will be the responsibility of the developer in this case. That's going to be funded, I think, about the 50th unit is when the triggers actually warranted the signal. And then the other ones are intersection study as well. The other thing we're doing in terms of traffic recommendations is restriping 2 lanes eastbound between here and the freeway on-ramp to make that a nice continuous improvement, and then also some improvements here for approaching the intersection at Far and Ferrari McLeod. And there is the zoning that is MF14, as I mentioned. And he told me I need, it's the first time I've done this, but now required the staff contact for this project is Leah Bacotti, her phone number and her email, of course. And the development team, Rob Fitzgerald, John, we're working with Wood Rogers on civil engineering, and then GCW on traffic engineering, and myself. So that's my brief presentation. Here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ben Johnson for the record. Well, everyone else feels, I'm just happy it's not another storage unit falling next to a bunch of houses. So that's good. But yeah, I mean, it looks like did a traffic study, which is good. Taking into account landscaping, which I'm happy about as well. Yeah, so I don't have anything else.
One last point I forgot to make, just because, you know, I have a very strong, I think, slant to making sure we take care of community. When I'm engaged in these, Mr. Fitzgerald knows that. One of the things we did in working with staff, and this is not a requirement, and we're not looking for too much good guy credit, but it's the right thing to do, is line this entire street of Ferrari McLeod. It's kind of got a collector street. It carries a lot of traffic. So we have the ability to add in all of these trees. I think we added about 50 trees in there to give it a nice character as you're approaching into the project. And then, of course, you turn in right here or access it from over here. So we've done as much tree planting as we possibly can, frankly. It gets to a place where there's not any room for them, but that's a good place for them.
Who doesn't want to live next to the jail?
Hold on, sir. Sorry.
It's not next, but yeah.
Kelsey Minow for the record. I'm just looking at the density of it. And I just thinking of like the quality of life for the residents that live there. You know, the lack of parking, you know, I know that people will have a certain amount that they can park in their spot,
Yeah.
you know. But you know, you can't really invite people over to park in front. You know, what's the noise level going to be with that many people? You know, the privacy level with that many people, and it just seems like, you know, when you squeeze that much, you know, profit into such a small amount of space, the people who suffer from that are going to be the residents. You know, are there going to be areas for kids to play?
Yes.
And things like that. And I don't, it's hard to see that with this vision for me. And so I think that's my biggest thing, you know, safety wise, if this is a big wildfire area, if something were to happen, what's the evacuation route? What does that look like? And so if God forbid a natural disaster happens, how quick can that many people get out of such an area? And so those are where my concerns are. So.
Thank you. Just if I could respond a little bit, the density is, you know, a typical for townhome project, 13 to the acre. And maybe it feels more dense to you. I'm not sure what you're getting. Can we, I lost my slide. Can somebody kick me out? Do you know what WOE is? You mentioned fire, wildland urban interface. Okay, so this is on the lower part of the matrix. because it's really actually more infill and urban. But we had a meeting with the fire marshal on this, and he was entirely supportive because it's about 1.7 or 1.8 miles from the nearest fire station. So very high level of service with regard to fire safety and fire servicing the site. No concerns, again, and I appreciate your concern and your comment, but no concerns with wildland fires, right? It just doesn't make its way into these kind of areas. And what was the other one you said? Oh, about, I know people, it's a hard thing because you mentioned it's more profit, and it just doesn't work that way. It's really aggressively attacking pricing. That's what we do with a product like this. Because if everybody's building $700,000 and $800,000 homes, we're leaving a lot of buyers on the sidelines. So that's really, and right now, if it was built today, it would be something in the 400,000 range, which gets somebody to start to buying a home, you know. And parking, we're comfortable with, and I appreciate your concern there too, because we always think about that. We actually lost about 30 units from our initial design, and remapped it, and you know, added parking and lost units. Yeah. Right, Rob? We gave up about 30 units, I think, in our initial.
Yeah, there was a considerable amount of unit loss with parking and just getting more separation in units and planting.
Yeah.
But really, as John was saying, it's very difficult to create entry-level housing. Really hard. We were in front of this body a few years ago, rezoning it to MF14 for this very purpose, and now we've done it, and it's really well done. We have areas for outdoor living throughout the project of various sorts, barbecue areas, trails. It's very walkable. It's private. There's not a lot of traffic in it. Actually, very nice. It's going to afford a lot of people housing that doesn't exist right.
That's all of my questions.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. And you'll put them in the record, right? Well, I'm sure they'll.
Yeah, they're all.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question. Hold on one second, Joe. We're gonna finish up with the board first, and then we'll move over to public comment. So give us just 1 second. Okay. Right, Doug.
Kelly Orr for the record, thank you for providing this. This just wasn't on the website prior to. So I don't have as many questions, so I didn't want there. So I was just curious, I know you guys have lost some homes, because when my research, it looked like there was 408 plans. So there does look like there's a loss of down to 394. I don't know.
And I'm mistaken. Was it 408? Let's see, what was my opening slide?
Started.
Yeah, the math is not 30, is it? It's whatever it is.
It's okay. I
Yeah.
just wanted to clarify that. So I think it's gonna work for the area. I mean, housing is special in this town. But I think, where do you expect the, 394 new households to shop for groceries, access medical services, find childcare without significantly increasing vehicle mile travel or already congested local roads? I think your planned area is beautiful, but what you're bringing to it is more compact safety. You're touching on all those things, but is there any way to even go down to losing 30 units instead of 12 or whatever, just to give, I guess, residents more of an option? Usually when I see bills like this in large cities, they're putting up little strip malls. Like when I say little, I mean like 6 or 7, businesses where there's a little mart, or there's a little pizzeria, or there's a little something for residents to have walkability to, so that you're not impacting those roads. Because here is about 90% drive. You have to drive out. You have to drive in and drive out, drive in and drive out. So the impact of that, I think you have like a 7-Eleven, and that's it.
Yeah, 7-Eleven just outside.
That's it for thousands of people.
So I was just wondering if that was something that was in your thought of creating that space also in this development.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to say it, but no, it's really, it's not zoned for it. And I can't really envision, maybe rezone master plan amendment.
Right.
And then I have no idea how it would interact from a planning standpoint. I'm not faulting what you're saying, but it's kind of how we live here, you know. Our commercial areas are where they are, and our residential's a little more out there. And what you have in a suburban area like this is 7-Eleven is your quick go-to. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with your idea. And I actually own some commercial property just outside of this on the way in, actually, literally, just off the screen. I don't know how viable it would be, but as the area continues to develop, it's not developed. I've been thinking apartments, maybe storage. I can't make up my mind. That would certainly be a possibility. How's that?
Yeah, I think great. Thank you so much for that feedback. My comment to that is as a community, especially in Ward 4, we're growing out of our clothes. We're getting a little big, you know, and so let's think out of the box of what would a city do when we have this impact. We need housing, but we also don't need to travel 10 to 15 minutes to go get something and then turn around and wait a half hour, an hour because there's an accident, or for the next foreseeable future, we're expanding roads in every which direction because of this growth. The growth is definitely there, but I think there's just some opportunity for out of the box thinking. So that's kind of one of the questions I had.
It would be possible.
Yeah.
So I'll consider that.
I think of like Boulder.
Actually, I've never thought about commercial. But
You're welcome. I'm here all day, every month. Yeah. So thank you for that. And then I have one more question, but you know, I can always email you guys.
That'd be great.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Larissa, do you have any questions?
Hi, yeah, I think I actually just have one. I really like, first of all, just this kind of blanket statement, all of the amenities you guys have added in the area for the members that live here. I'm trying to zoom in on the map and I'm just struggling on my phone. So is the only way out that Ferrari McLeod Road, where you're going to put the stoplight on the par?
Did you get her question?
Yeah, I did. I was going to show the other map. No, there's a way out to the south.
Okay.
Yes. Here's probably the best. Well, it's cut off because there's only so much area we're going to show. But so I mentioned the primary route here. Are you seeing this slide here?
Yes.
Okay, so you're talking about this, right? That's, you look at the analysis, I think there was about 80 or closer to at least 80% that goes out that way. So that's the bulk of the traffic. But there is a nice new street, there's a collector street that goes down to Comstock and connects over to Prospect Hill area right there by the Comstock Road. It was under the McCarran on-ramp and over to Virginia Street, which is a pretty clean way out.
Okay. I just kind of wanted to make sure, because if it was only that one way out, I was going to see if there was any way we could add a second way. Just because
we actually master planned it that way many years ago for that very reason to have more circulation up there, right, Rob?
That's correct.
It's a fact. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
We're going to be digging the road out this way.
Yeah.
And took some time.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Megan, do you have anything?
No, just wanted to comment on the additional landscaping. I think that's something that I'm happy to see incorporated into any project. I also had a few more questions. You mentioned the shared spaces. Can you give us a little bit more detail on what the common areas are being planned planned for like play equipment for children or, just spaces that people can use since they won't have, a standard front and backyard. If you could just share more information on that. And yeah, I think that's it for right now.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Can you guys go to that slide? There we go. Thank you. So the amenity areas, those are all shared if you want to share them, right? Everybody will have access to every one of them. The idea is to have a gathering area for barbecuing in one of them, a tot lot somewhere else, part of building community, right? You go say hi to people. And so we specifically, Councilwoman, we specifically don't have it completely dialed in because we want to be fluid, flexible on that very issue and just figure it out relative to who your buyer is. And so there's a little bit of flex there. That's how that works. But if you want something specifically, please tell us now and we'll work it into the plan. If you're seeing something that we're not seeing in the market side of things, then I think that makes sense to consider.
Well, I appreciate that. And that's what I'm hopeful will happen with the board members and the members of the public that are there, that they'll provide kind of recommendations that maybe you can incorporate into the plans. I also wanted to ask, and forgive me if I missed this, is there going to be connectivity planned in for the back kind of side of the development that abuts the shopping center on the other side?
There's no abutting to the shopping center. Where are you talking about? Let's go to it.
So back behind this project, is that where the grocery outlet is? Or am I thinking of the wrong location?
Wrong location.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, at this.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, this is right up there by Park Boulevard. And
oh, okay. I had this confused, and I'm sorry. My map is small.
No, it's all good. Yeah. A lot of projects coming at you. There's a lot of projects coming at you, right?
Well, yes, and I know this is one of at least 2 townhome projects that you're working on, and just want to say, obviously, this needs to go to Planning Commission and Council. But do you just kind of generally want to say, I appreciate different types of housing options. The market is pretty out of control right now, and I think any opportunity for first-time home buyers or people to start a family or something in a smaller home is a good opportunity. So those are just my comments. But again, I'm really just here to listen to the feedback from the board members and the community members.
Thank you for your feedback, Councilwoman.
All right, now we're moving to the public. You have something you want to say? You're going to raise your hand. I'll point to you to say your name correctly.
Reminder for public comment, I need one of these every time you speak. So for the previous comments, I've just written down names, but for all, please fill out one of these. You can do it after you speak. Over that.
That's sorry.
I'm Monty Turner, and I have a quick question. Our Boulevard's a mess. That bridge going over the freeway was a joke. They were supposed to make that a 4-lane bridge, and they screwed up with the wrong bridge in. And they did it. After they did it, they can't do anything about it. That's going to be a 2-lane for the rest of your lives. It's game over. They're not going to spend millions trying to replace that. The other thing we have was on the other side of the bridge, City of Reno just approved 850 apartments just behind Truckee Meadows Community College. Dandini's hammered. Sun Valley Boulevard's hammered. Even today, it took me 2.5 hours to get home the other night on a normal night. I just parked the car and walked. I just couldn't do it. I come back at 9 o'clock that night. It's just hammered. That traffic engineer you got is a moron. North Virginia, hammered. Coming here today, hammered. It was blocked all the way to the second lane, all the way to the light right in front of the fire station. So I don't know where they're getting this traffic engineer, what they're going, but they got 5,600 more cars coming on within about 6 months. And there's nowhere for it to go. The only thing RTC is, we're going to put sidewalks in front of it. Better bring it down to 2 lanes. Oh, no, we're not. We're all right. It can't happen. It just can't happen. So the question is how are they going to widen that bridge? It's over. I mean, they're not going to, that traffic engineer no more. And, the other thing too is the We have clay at our place right above where they're doing the work and they've done so much dust in what's called the county. The doctor from the county health department told me that it'd be okay if they killed us with a silicate that they're putting down in our houses. That's exactly what he said. There's like 21 complaints or something up there about it. About 90 of us up there on that whole road are sick. I'm sick, my wife's got asthma, I've got bad asthma. And he said it might look like we got silicosis, and if we do, we're doomed. That's gotta be hard mitigation for that around those homes. There you go, thank you.
Fill out one of these for me.
Okay. Thanks for your comments, Mr. Turner.
Does anyone else, public here have any comments or anything? With Birch?
For I just had a question. When you said that you triggered a stoplight at bottom of your car right there.
Yeah.
Railroad is how far away from that stoplight? The railroad crossing on the car. And how does that affect that when traffic does back up? Are you gonna have to run into any of that? Is that just not a problem?
Everything's on the table for some responsibility here, right? But I don't have an answer for you because this is the first time it's come up with regard to our design team, traffic engineer, city, NDOT, RTC, nobody's mentioned it. So, yeah, but I'm going to look into it. It could come up at planning commission, or I appreciate the comment, you know.
Okay, I think we have online, right?
Yes, I'm gonna start with Laura Henry. If you want to make a comment online, please raise your hand. Laura, you took your hand down. So I am, okay, hold on. Laura, go ahead and state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, I did it.
Laura, are you with us? Can't hear you if you're speaking.
Sorry about that.
Um,
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Laura Henry, I'm a resident. So for those of us living and working in North Valleys, our everyday quality of life is already heavily affected by congestion and lane shifts and constant construction and road closures, et cetera. And with the construction still ongoing to widen the highway because past growth outpaced planning, my question is, how does the traffic impact analysis for those 394 townhomes account for the lived reality of our long commute times and our daily existence, as well as our safety? Like, what specific commitments are being made so that this project doesn't further erode our quality of life?
Is that a question for me?
I think so.
Yeah, if you can answer that.
So the scoping of the traffic study, right? You know, you have the threshold. The biggest thing, obviously, is the $1 million traffic light that is the responsibility of this project, of which everybody benefits, right? If you're using Park Boulevard today, right, you're going east-west. Now you got a improvement in the operation of Park Boulevard there because of the traffic light. In addition to this, did you say you live in the North Valleys, Laura, or are you going to be?
I live in North Valleys. I moved here about 5 years ago. My commute to work was 18 minutes. It now takes me over an hour. With an additional 394 townhouses coming, I'm trying to understand how this is going to enhance my quality of life. Is somebody able to respond to that, please?
May I just make a comment?
Yeah, please.
Regarding traffic and issues of traffic today. And that's being caused by improvements that will alleviate the traffic issues that people have been dealing with. That's why the freeway is being widened. And my understanding is clearly that once this is done, and this phase of the project is done, the second phase, which will take it up to Red Rock, I believe, or somewhere up in that vicinity, will not require lane reductions. So once the project that you're working on is done, I've been working here on this property and around this property for almost 25 years. I'm as aware of the traffic and the change and the increase in it as much as anybody. that highway work is what is making things so difficult right now. It's happening because of growth. It's going to improve the situation. You can't relate to what's happening today like it's going to be static forever. And
yeah, the discomfort, Laura, is because of the neck downs, right? All these under this construction between all the way from the Spaghetti Bowl north up to what's that? Oh, okay. Up to basically Golden Valley, and then it opens up, right? And then that next phase is coming. So that's part of it. That's a temporary condition. It's been a long-term temporary condition. It's really uncomfortable. I mean, I took me.
They're saying 2033.
What's that?
2033.
From your health.
2033. I didn't know. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully that covers it. I think what your frustration is, Laura, is the capacity is not fully delivered as you're going to feel it. You mentioned quality of life. When that freeway opens up, this traffic lights in, and the restriping of those 2 eastbound lanes, this will be a lot more free flow condition. That's how it works. And yes, there are impacts, and we got to deal with them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else online?
If there's no more public comment, Councilmember Bieber would like to speak.
Hold on one second, Megan. Go ahead.
Sharon Souther for the record. Things in the 2050 plan that help with quality of life is that Park Boulevard will have additional bridge structure planned because of the urban highway connector going in from through Sun Valley to Park Boulevard. Additional townhomes apartments planned there on Spectra Boulevard by the Public Safety Building. There's a lot of growth. There needs to be lights at the interchange just as much as there should be at Step Boulevard at Red Rock. But to answer Laura's question, what benefits does it bring? Because this developer is putting money in to build, impact fees pay for different things that support our community, whether it be public safety, fire. If we don't allow new buildings, we don't have taxes, we don't have abilities to support our quality of life.
Yeah, and this does generate that's the way the system works. I know people don't like it, and I'm not hiding behind it, but the system is this generates $2.5 million of impact fees that goes into the pool, and RTC city staff get together and decide what is the priority improvement to be funded.
Thank you. All right, Megan, go ahead.
Yeah, I am also struggling with the traffic. I live out in Lemon Valley, and it takes me a significant amount of time to get in and out of the valleys every day. I will say that these are frustrations that I know I bring to different levels of our government, but these are things that the community should also be directing towards RTC, NDOT, and currently I would say Mr. Amadei, because we need a tremendous amount of resources to provide the infrastructure that our community needs. I think we can all agree that the widening is should have been done probably 10 years, personal opinion, but I hear your frustration because I live it too, but I just want to give you that information so that your energy can go to the right people to address that. And I know that I personally have lobbied with Senator Rosen's office, with Amadei's office, with Governor Lombardo's office, and the Lieutenant Governor to get us additional resources. The reality is, City of Reno, it not only doesn't have the budget to do the kind of infrastructure we need, but more importantly, it's not the City of Reno's jurisdiction. These are things that RTC and NDOT need to be addressing for our community, because we are really lacking in the infrastructure. So I just wanted to kind of remind everyone of that. And I know we're all just really sick of sitting in traffic, but I want to make sure our energy goes to the right locations to help us get the resources we need. So thank you.
We have one more online that has a question.
Patty Johnson, unmute your mic, state your name for the record, you have 3 minutes.
Patty Johnson. I'm trying to understand, where is the light, the number one, where you have that down there on Par? What is that road coming out by on Par?
Ferrari McLeod.
What's in front of that light? So it'll be a four-way stoplight?
In front of it, you mean to the east? That's the freeway on ramp is just to the east.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this comes out by, is there a store there, like Quick Stop or Maverick or whatever right there?
The store is just to the east, right? Just on, you see are you looking at this map?
Yeah.
Patty?
Yeah.
In that stretch in the blue there, that's where the convenience store is.
Okay. Yeah, there's already so much traffic. And then I have another question. These are going to be for sale, not like owner rent, right?
That is correct. This is for sale product. Single family residences that are attached.
Okay, because single family nowadays, with it being so hard, ends up to 7 cars sitting in someone's thing, and the enforcement of the no parking obviously is will be a big deal, I would think, but they sign the rules when they buy, right?
That's right.
All right, thank you, Patty.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else in the public like to make a comment?
I'd like to just let people know, Kelsey Meno for the record, that the next RTC board meeting is July 17th at 9 a.m. So if people want to bring these similar complaints that Megan was bringing up, Councilman Ebert was bringing up, that is one place that you can.
They don't listen to Plummet though.
All right, thank you very much, sir. I think we're good.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your questions and comments. Appreciate it.
We're going to move on to E4.
Thanks.
Mr. Chair, all set? Perfect. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the NAB. Thank you for having me. For the record, Garrett Gordon. Today, on behalf of the applicant in regards to the project known as the Peavine Peak Trails Business Park. Location, currently the site is vacant. It's bordered south and west by additional vacant parcels and an existing Tumwell water tank. To the east, the site is adjacent to an existing residential neighborhood located in unincorporated Washoe County, and directly north lies the Union Pacific Railroad track. You can see the site located on the slide. It's certainly along North Virginia Street. South of it, then there's the railroad tracks. This falls south of the tracks. Seneca Drive is to the farthest to the west, and then, to the east. And on the west is where Peavine Road comes into the project. So the application has 2 parts. It's a master plan amendment and it's a zone change. And the zone changes to a specific plan handbook. I always like working on handbooks because you can add conditions in there and really put the specificity that you need to make sure there's complete transparency and knowledge to the community of what can go there and what can't go there. And so let me walk through the master plan first. So you can see this master plan designation, lots of colors on the map. And so you have large lot down to the south, you have unincorporated transition. As you head up, you have some open space, you have some commercial zoning, and then you also have west of Peavine Road industrial, including a little patch of industrial there along the railroad tracks. And of course, on the other side of the tracks in Virginia Street, you can see all that is currently zoned master plan, or currently master plan industrial. So I would submit to you that this really is like the end of this industrial corridor. This business park I believe will be the farthest south as far as this business park that's been developed in this area. Now, what are we proposing? So again, all the colors, you got industrial, commercial, open space, large art residential. We're trying to go very simple. Industrial, you can see in the light bluish gray, and then open space. The result is that there's more master plan open space in this plan than there currently is today. So we're really preserving a lot of those hillsides, a lot of those slopes, those drainage ways that you can see that run through the project. As all of you, I'm sure, are aware, these other projects that are downstream all have these drainage ways extending through them. Those are all protected, and by requirement by Reno code, those have to be master planned open space. So those drainage ways stay open space. And then where the application started and where we are today, you can see now there's a nice green space, not only on the south side, but along Seneca Drive that will be master planned open space, will remain open space, and along that north side as well, where there's some residential properties, has that master plan as well. So that'll be written in stone, and this, I would say, buffer and open space master planning, we think is turned out pretty good. So let's go to the zoning. So the zoning, again, a lot of colors on the map. There's currently industrial there. There's some commercial there. There's some really weird shapes of open space. I assume it was trying to go with the contours of slopes, and then some large lot residential. The concept would be you could see all SPD. So it'd go all into this handbook. And this handbook would be kind of our zoning Bible or our zoning code of what we can and can't do. So just to summarize, master plan, we're going large lot residential, unincorporated transition, parks, greenways, and open space. You can see only about 93 acres of it currently, and we're pushing that to 172 acres of open space. I think that's a huge win. Mixed commercial and then currently some industrial, all to, as you saw, a very simple map, open space and industrial. And then the zoning map, again, all those different categories will all fall into the specific plan district. And the open space, you can see this map is also very good to identify the open space. Of the overall 329 acres, 156 are developable and 172 are designated as open space. And we did the chart to the right. And as you do the math per code, if you have greater than 30% slopes, you have to double your open space requirements, which we've done. So you can see what's required, 169 acres, and we pushed that up to over 172. So we certainly just don't meet but exceed code on open space. So the site plan, this is embedded into the handbook, up to approximately 18 industrial buildings, warehouses and office spaces. And I just wanted to emphasize again those drainage corridors. They bring runoff down those slopes, down those hills. Those remain undisturbed, will be master planned and zoned open space. We would just have approximately 5 crossings over them, so they stay undisturbed. Oops. So traffic and access. So the primary access for the truck and passenger vehicles to the site will be from North Virginia to a privately improved and maintained Peavine Peak Road. That road is currently a dirt road. It will now be paved. It will now be upgraded in order to handle this traffic. And from there on to a newly constructed, privately maintained internal roadway network serving the project. So you have Virginia, and you come in Peavine, you come into the site, private road that we would maintain, not the city, on the site that runs perpendicular to the railroad tracks. So we thought it's a nice place to have a road right next to the tracks for noise and other issues. Secondary emergency access. That's a requirement by Reno City Code, the fire department. That will be available via Seneca Drive, but absolutely intent is that will not be open. It'll be gated access. It's only for emergency access in the event of a fire or some emergency. All traffic will be coming through Peavine Peak Road, absent some emergency. To further that, in addition to gated access, we're installing signage all over the project, including at North Virginia Street, at Seneca Drive, at the railroad crossing, indicating that no trucks are allowed down that drive. So gated emergency access only, nothing more. That community, absent some big catastrophe, should never see a truck whatsoever. So residential adjacency, very important. So we've worked internally for months on this and also back and forth with staff. And I think we came up with a reasonable compromise for this area down by Seneca. So you can see here is, again, our zoning. This is, well, the zoning is specific plan, but this map is in our handbook. So you can see blue is gray is the industrial. Then you have this buffer of not only master planned open space, but also it's zoned as and land use as open space in the handbook. So it'll also be deed restricted. So this will be deed restricted and remain open space in perpetuity. So buildings A1 and A2. So A1 and A2 are two small buildings there down in the corner. And a prior draft said, yeah, let's put some docks there and use that. We removed that. So there'll be no docks, no truck docks allowed on those two sites. We envision those to probably be kind of office or some kind of administrative buildings. And then as you head up into the meat of the project, you have building B, which is right here. And you can see, and I have some renderings too, so you can kind of get a visual. Building B will not only have no docks on this side of the project. So visually, there will be no docks for noise or visual or anything like that facing the residents. But also, we really wanted to narrow the use of that. That we've always said, but I don't think did a good job of putting that criteria in the handbook where staff could hold our feet to the fire, wherein a tenant would file a business license, and if it didn't comply with these requirements, it would be denied. No distribution uses there. So the intent is not to have, again, even though you're significant distance, you have open space, there's a requirement for a 30-foot landscape buffer. We thought, let's limit what can be done in building B to flex space. And what does that mean? No distribution uses, only limited to 14 dock doors, but very small units, like no bigger than around 7,500 square feet. And they're limited to small businesses, flex space. Like you might have a plumber or a carpenter or someone using this flex space as an office flex place rather than those big, kind of industrial manufacturing locations. And we envision that the delivery trucks would come less than twice a day, maybe even weekly or maybe even monthly, delivering to that flex space. So we think there's a couple layers of protection for that residential adjacency. You have a strip of open space master plan. You have a 30-foot landscape buffer. You have no docks in the first two buildings. And then in the larger building, you have no docks on the Seneca side. And then we've limited the use of what tenants can and can't do on that site. So we think we came up with a pretty good thought. We're happy to hear input if we can do better. As council member Ebert knows, I love these handbooks because we can work with council and you and planning commission if there's any additional input that we think is a win-win. So that's the residential adjacency slide and very important to address. The next point is there are some slopes on the property. You're going to see a rendering that shows that. So it's important, I think someone brought it up visually, what are those slopes going to look like today in 5 years and 10 years and 20 years? Like what's the visual impact? So staff has been really tough with us on this and really sent us to back to the drawing board of what is the slope stabilization going to look like and then what is visually it's going to look like. So we absolutely have to revegetate the hillside using deep-rooted plants to stabilize the slopes, reduce erosion, mitigate fire risk, but also have that visual impact of a natural, and I have some slides to show this, a natural looking hillside when it's complete. This approach utilizes riprap to hold the soil mix and the seeding in place to make sure that the seeding isn't washed away, that in fact will grow and revegetate that hillside. All grading, the whole grading should comply with and be contoured and revegetated consistent with our preliminary landscape plan. And you can see the stabilization in this slide, and I'll show you some visual as well. And here's a visual kind of rendering. So a couple things. You can see the buffer that will go around the project. There'll be a 30-foot landscape buffer as well. You can see these mature trees that will be planted and grown. You can see those two initial buildings that I called A1 and A2. Those have no dock doors. As you go to building B, you could see that I first thought those were dock doors. And I said, "Are you sure?" Like I'm going to say there's no dock doors, but those are just windows. So there's no dock doors that will be on this side of the building. And then as you head down the project, that's where you'll get the docks and the larger trucks away from this residential community. I'd also note, as I mentioned a minute ago, as far as the slopes, you can see this project is up higher, and so you're going to have some of that slope. And the idea was, as we revegetate and bring these slopes back to its natural condition, we envisioned it would look like something that would be behind the project, going up P-vine, so it would be consistent with that natural vegetation that currently exists. So I thought this is a pretty good rendering. You can see the railroad tracks there, and then our roadway. And then you can see there's just such an elevation change from some of these perspectives that it's higher up. So our noise study said a lot of noise, will go up and away. You mentioned some winds as well. That'll certainly help move any of that impact. You can see we have the buffers, we have the slope mitigation, we have the trees. I think our architects and our design team did a pretty good job of doing the best we could with visual impacts and mitigating impacts of a project like this. Again, another perspective, try to do our best to screen all we could and make sure there's ample buffers. And then again, another perspective kind of up on the hill. Hopefully the visual impact is very minimal given the elevation changes as you head up. So that's my presentation. I have happy to answer any questions. I have our handbook here so I can pull any specific quotes. I know there's been questions, each of the 3 items before me. Has a traffic study been done? Absolutely, a traffic study has been done. That included all of this project. There were some conclusions. One was level of service meets both city and RTC standards as a result of this project. 2, the intersections we were required to study, Peavine Peak and Virginia, and Stead Interchange also comply with level of service. We do need to improve Peavine Peak. We do need to make some improvements to Virginia in response to this project, but nothing major at this point in time. And happy to answer any questions or hear any input. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the time today.
All right. Ben Johnson record. So I think we're going to have a lot of comments for you today.
Please.
So I want to keep in mind to be professional as much as possible. Before I start, can we go back to the slide? The very first slide that showed the houses and the very first one. And Megan, all of this is actually going to be directed at you. So just FYI, before I start,
I can probably take you. Which one? The
very first one that showed from where the houses sit.
Oh, the visual? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Hold on. Ooh, it's not clicking. Maybe you can click. I don't know. My little remote's not working. Oh, okay. Let me go back.
Almost.
This one?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna stand up a point, and then if you can help me first people online. So Megan, again, this is a lot for you because I really think this is horrible. I don't know this house right here. I wonder what they thought when they bought that. How beautiful that landscape looked. Now they're gonna see a warehouse. Same thing with that house and that house and that house. And I think you have a lot of people in this community feel the same exact way, and they're just getting boxed in, constantly boxed in by industrial. I understand that some of this was zoned for industrial already, but specifically the first, 6, 7 buildings are supposed to be, are right now zoned for residential. I think everyone would like to see houses instead of, more warehouses in their backyard. Instead of seeing Peavine, they see a warehouse. And some of your renderings that you see there is literally from someone's backyard. And instead of seeing the beautiful Peavine, you get right into a warehouse. And I think that's just crazy for this community, who has been constantly getting buried by warehouses. And I know, Megan, this is a big issue for you. Have you made this comment multiple times that that's why you ran to be on the city council, because you lived up here And we have just been inundated with industrial buildings for our community. And I know there's probably not much you can do about this, Megan, but from my standpoint, as just a comment, I think this is horrible for this community. So also this rendering doesn't show everything to the right with all the other warehouses that are sitting there. It just shows a rendering of dirt. Well, that's not true. There's more warehouses. So you have an entire community of houses completely surrounded at this point by industrial. And I know none of them would have bought that house if it was like that when they moved in. So again, this is all nothing for you, sir, just for Megan. But that's those are my comments. Kelsey, go ahead. You have anything?
Did you want Megan to?
She doesn't need to respond. It's all right.
Oh, all right. So I guess I just wanted some clarity. So is it A1 and A2? I heard that you were talking about like smaller spaces that like a plumber could go in. Is that those two small buildings closest to us in that this rendering?
Great question, thank you. So those two smaller buildings we've identified as A1 and A2. We're not even considering those flex space because they have no docks. Those would just be offices, let's say.
Correct.
As you head to building B, that would have small docks on the other side of the building that's limited to very small spaces and no distribution and that flex space. That's where we would envision those kind of flex space tenants in there. That could be a plumber or something along those sorts.
All right. So I really like the idea of the economic development so that way we can have, more space for like a small business and something like that. That really piqued my interest. Can you, I guess, help me understand the vision of like what you're trying to like attract, the types of businesses you're trying to attract when you build this? So that way, like, is it like what the vision is for? Like for a perfect scenario, if you were to sell.
I think we spent a lot of time in the handbook itself. There's the land use matrix of what uses can and can't be allowed. And so I think our vision is just a very traditional business park where you have some distribution, you have some manufacturing, and then as you head down to this area of the park, you have that smaller flex space, and then even heading into those A buildings, just some office and even some small local tenants would be a home run.
The handbook that you're referencing. I know that you brought it with you today. Is it available online?
The handbook we submitted to staff, so yeah, it would be a public record available
It's on
online.
It would be on the regional port. Yes, so one NB.us.
One NB.us.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm happy if it's appropriate to email it directly to the board, if that would be helpful, whatever to expedite the process.
Sure, I don't mind looking it up. I was trying to like look for it while you were discussing so I could kind of follow along and I was having a hard time finding it. But now that I know where to find it, you said one NB.us.
And I would note, currently it's under review by staff still. We don't have a recommendation, so we expect comments back. So I just want to say, what you're going to review probably isn't written in stone. There'll probably be some back and forth based on this meeting and then all the agency review.
Just because one of the bigger things that, we're constantly hoping for is, something where it's going to create a lot of meaningful jobs, right? And that first part, those flex buildings sounds awesome in my mind. And then it, the further along it goes, it just, I see where the concern is. And so those are my comments. So.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may respond, if that's appropriate. I think in a perfect world, you do all flex space, but it just doesn't economically work, right? Because there's a lot of dirt to move, there's a lot of development to happen. And so you need some of those bigger users, bigger tenants, the industrial manufacturing, but we did want to have a component of absolutely of flex space. And let me say this, What I talked about, the flex space and A1 and A2, like that's a requirement in the handbook, that can't change. But nothing limits us from, if flex space is a home run, like to keep going. You know, the other buildings as you head into the project, it's just a blank slate other than the limitations that are in the handbook. So as development comes in and partners come in and plans come in, you could see maybe even more flex space, not to prohibit that if that's the path that our tenants want to go.
That's all that I have.
Thank you. Go ahead, Kelly.
Kelly Orr for the record. Given the significant shift from residential open space to industrial, I have a lot of questions. Traffic access, I think, is critical. You did touch on it a bit. Will industrial traffic be physically restricted from using Seneca? You said yes, but then only an emergency access area. So what improvements are you doing to the Seneca Street
Thank
to
you.
allow for that?
Thank you for the question. My understanding, but I can confirm at Planning Commission, is because it's gated emergency access, so there's no intent to use it. There'd be no improvements to Seneca at this point in time. The only reason why, and we would love not to have that, but fire code requires 2 access points just in case of an emergency.
Rivali, what is the projected daily trip count for heavy vehicles if this is passenger car? And how does this compare to the traffic that originally planned large lot residential zoning would have generated?
So in the traffic study, in the summary here, it says how much traffic will the project generate? And AM peak hour is 292 AM peak trips, 334 PM peak trips. And that would use the internal roadway of the project as well as Peavine Peak Road and Virginia, and likely hit the stead, on and off ramps. And that scope, you heard from the last planner, the city RTC gave us a scope, the study, we studied those intersections, and it does meet level of service.
So for emergency access with the site extending towards Peavine Peak Road, how does the change to industrial use affect wildlife evacuation routes for existing residents?
That's a great question. As I think about it, I don't believe it does at all. I think it actually improves it because Peavine Peak Road is just a dirt road. Like we're going to need to bring that up to standards to accommodate this traffic, and certainly the residents using Peavine Peak Road for evacuation reasons will get the benefit of that. There's also some improvements needed on Virginia Street along this area, so the residents will get the benefit of that as well. So I would submit to you it probably improves that concern. And another note, not to interrupt you, certainly this is under review by the fire department as well, and I know they make recommendations sometimes based on evacuation routes and improvements. So we'd certainly be waiting to hear from them of what additional requirements or conditions they may add to the handbook.
For trail connectivity, the project is named Peavine Peak Trails Business Park. Does it plan to legally mandate construction and perpetual public maintenance of new trailheads on this, or merely banning choice? Are you just using the word because of where it's at?
I think we just use Peavine Peak Trails Park just because of where it's at. I think the intent though is to have, let me go back here. Actually, it's not working. The intent certainly is to, keep that green area open space. It'd be deeded to a landscape maintenance association who would maintain it, and that would be funded to make sure it is maintained. I don't have a slide of our trails and how that plays in, so that's a really good point. Let me add that to my list to be prepared for a planning commission of what trails because there certainly would be no intent whatsoever to block any existing public access or trail access. We would not only want to keep that and maybe even add on to it. So I'll get back to you with that.
That was kind of like my follow-up question, where there'll be a dedicated easement for public access through the industrial park.
Typically, no. Just for liability purposes. I mean, those slopes are pretty steep if someone's hiking up there and trips and falls. But to your point, if there's current, I've worked on some other projects in this area and there already were some public access trails. And so I would feel comfortable on the record saying if there's a existing public access trail, we would not impede that. We want to add on to it. So I'll have a trail exhibit for planning commission.
And then was there a slope setback? Is there a minimal distance setback between the proposed industrial buildings and the designated trail corridors to ensure that the trails don't feel like they're simply running behind warehouses?
Great question. I'm not aware of any trail corridors existing, but it's definitely on my list now to go figure that out. And I would think it's fair to say we would make sure there is ample distance between the trail system and these buildings.
So I just have a few more questions, guys. Thank you for bearing with me.
Oh, thank you.
So you talked about the SPD handbook. So are there going to be allowable uses in the SPD, like prohibit 24-hour operations? If there's noise light mitigation measures are required for overnight shifts, restricted uses, standard industrial zoning allows everything from data centers to distribution hubs. Does your SPD specifically prohibit heavy manufacturing, hazardous material storage, or high volume logistics terminals?
So there was a lot in there. Let me try to
I wrote it all down.
address it. And I think it's a good point too for my planning commission presentation to maybe put up those use tables so it's clear to everyone what can go in and go out. But looking here, warehouse, I can't read them all right. I'll tell you it's like 2.5 pages. But let me kind of hide the high points. Yeah, warehouse and distribution center are allowed. Some of these uses in here require a use permit. Data center is listed in here with a conditional use permit, which is current requirement for city code. As we all know, there's currently a moratorium, so nothing could happen today on that. But if at some point the moratorium is lifted and that state as is, a conditional use permit would be required to come back to this body and planning commission and council for approval. Let me hit on the hours. So similar to other business parks, the 24 hours is an allowed use in here. So it can be 24 hours. However, hours of operation within that 300 feet of residential adjacency is limited to normal business hours outside, but they could still work inside, right? Because that's not going to make noise. But like the deliveries and stuff would be limited to normal business hours within that residential adjacency. So we tried to at least make this marketable, just like all the other projects for 24 hour, but not close to that residential area.
And then for building height, what is the maximum allowable building height in the SPD? And how will it impact views from Peavine, as we already know it's going to impact all those people in that row in their homes? But what does the SPD say?
So SPD limits the height to 55 feet. It's the highest it can be. And then there's a little footnote there and it says, if a building is located immediately adjacent to residentially zoned properties, a minimum setback shall be an additional 10 feet. So you got to step it back as you're close to residentially zoned properties. And then 1 foot of additional setback is required adjacent to streets and residentially zoned property for each 1 foot above the height of 35 feet. So in other words, 35, if you're within residentially zoned property or that adjacent street network over 35 feet, you have to continue that setback even further. So 55 feet is the highest. And if we did go that high next to residential, it would have to be considerably set back to minimize impact.
And then so that leads me into like environmental and visual impact for lighting. Will the project be held to dark sky? Night sky light?
Correct. Now, I'm just looking for the section so I can, if whoever's taking notes can refer. You did the appropriate section. No, it's not. Oh, exterior lighting. Yeah, it is subject to dark sky standards. Correct.
Drainage. Peavine Mountain runoff is significant. How does covering 150 plus acres with impervious concrete warehouses impact downstream flooding from the North Valley's neighborhoods?
Because we're leaving those drainage ways undisturbed. So the existing runoff will not be impacted. And I would argue will actually probably be improved because now there's someone required to maintain those drainage ways, our landscape maintenance association. If there's whatever, sagebrush or, other things that need to be cleaned up out of there, that'll happen and not impede flows.
Thank you so much for answering all my questions. I know it was a lot. I just as a comment, this is something I've been looking at for the city I've been staring at it since people have been touching that plan. I'd love to see a wolf lodge. We just need a wolf lodge. Everybody, call up everybody, wolf lodge.
My kids would love that.
Yeah, the whole town.
Yeah,
love it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me just say one thing. I'm a dark sky. This plan doesn't say the words dark skies, but it references Rio Municipal Code 18.04, which is exterior lighting standards, which is my understanding is the dark sky standards. So I just wanted to make that clarification. Thank you.
All right. We will get to the public comments, so spare Larissa, do you have any comment or any questions?
I don't think so. I think the three of you guys pretty much touched base on everything that I was going to question. So thanks, guys.
Okay. Megan?
Yeah, I know that I've had several meetings with residents in the surrounding area. Are you also meeting with the surrounding community to get feedback and incorporating any of that into potential plans?
Councilmember Ebert, hello. Thank you for the input. So I glad you mentioned that. I should have mentioned it earlier. So this project started as the Peavine project to the south, and a neighborhood meeting was hosted because state law requires a neighborhood meeting for master plan amendment changes. Part of the project now has been added on, Ladera, so it's gotten a little bigger, which also requires another neighborhood meeting. So we will be hosting a neighborhood meeting in August. It'll be notified pursuant to city standards with a flyer. And we're happy to, Councilman Ebert, as you know me, solicit as much feedback as we can and see if there's ways to make the project better. And I am always available to meet with any neighbor or neighbors or smaller groups as necessary.
Okay, so have you met with them yet? I'm sorry if I missed that. I know you said there's upcoming meetings, but they've had several like organized meetings that I've gone to. Have you met with anybody from the community outside of a meeting that you've hosted?
So a neighborhood meeting was hosted. There were some discussions. I was not involved in the project yet. I think the project kind of went back to the drawing board to get to make some adjustments based on some of that feedback and also from staff. And so now this is a new layout. This is the first step today. So I will personally be hosting the neighborhood meeting on behalf of the applicant and submit to you that I will meet with any neighbors who want to meet with me.
Okay, and also I know residential adjacency, there's different requirements for noticing people based off of the distance away from the development. Is there any plans to reach out to people in the community that might not fall into that particular adjacency, since it will have a large impact to residents all around that area?
We were just planning to officially notice as required by the city, the 750 feet around the project. But if you have any names of individuals or groups in your ward, council member, you'd like us to also invite and or meet with, we'd be happy to do so.
Great, thank you for that invitation. Again, I'm just here to listen to the community feedback. I just wanted to make sure that you had met with the residential community there, because I know that they're very organized and active in discussing this project. So that's all my feedback for this time. Ben, I'd also like to thank you for your comments earlier.
Thank you, Megan. All right, we're going to move into public comment. So we're at 3 minutes. Okay. Yeah, just state your name for record. Be as professional as you can, and Yeah, we'll do.
The
Go ahead.
purple card if you have
We got
it.
purple card if you're gonna speak. So you can speak first? Yeah. Go ahead.
Hillary Appleman, resident. Questions, comments, the noise ordinance addresses during construction. But there's no answer to post-construction, including the revision submitted on June 16th, where the Reno master plan states there must be 1,000-foot barrier from residential zones. Buildings A and B have no docks. Buildings or A, no docks, B is faced away. C, D, E, there's no plan for that. Is that within the 1,000 feet? Peavine Peak Road has a railroad that needs to be improved upon. Developer needs to convert that to a private crossing or into a public crossing. The city would need to adopt that as public. Is there a plan to retire 3 of those, or does the city want to host it in another crossing for a limited benefit for this development? And then the plan states it will preserve 172 acres or 52% of the site. What does that mean? How are you preserving it?
May I respond?
Yeah, are those all your questions?
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, I was just making sure I got all of them. Yeah, thank you. So maybe I'll start the last one and move back. So, preserving the open space, I think our definition of that is making sure it's master plan open space, so it can never be changed. And if you did change it, you have to come back here and then go up to regional. So it'd be master planned open space. It'd be identified as open space in the handbook. So if that changed, we'd have to amend the handbook. But then also we're deed restricting it. So we would actually record a deed on the property to say this has to remain open space. So as a lawyer, I don't know how, that's as much, I think, security that you could ever get. So I feel really good about that one. The Peavine Peak railroad crossing, there's been quite discussions with the railroad, and feel good now that we're gonna be able to get approval for the crossing and meet all city and UP standards in order to do so. I don't think the client would go this far with time and expense if that was not happening. So we feel pretty good about that.
Okay.
And part of the handbook you'll see, one of the exhibits is the detailed plans of all of this. And so you can really get a good visual of what that would look like. The 1,000 feet. So the residential adjacency standard is that 300 feet. The 1,000 feet, maybe I'm not exactly sure what you're referencing. You mind mentioning that again? If I don't, I can get back on that if you need me to.
It was in the June 16th thing that you submitted.
That was a recommendation from city staff.
Okay. So I would say, so you worried me for a second. Like, I'm not familiar with code that requires 1,000 feet. No, you're good. So we're definitely meeting code with the 300.
Okay.
But in those discussions about the 1,000 or what have you, we said, well, let's see what we can do to mitigate it. So we added that deed restriction for open space. We have a 30-foot landscape buffer. Buildings now A1 and A2 can't have dock doors or trucks. So that's within that 1,000 feet, like that's big. And then no dock doors on this side of the Seneca side of building B. And then we put those use standards in of what can go in building B, just that flex space, no big trucks. So I think probably as you get to building B, you're probably at 1,000 feet. So we did all those mitigations in order to kind of hit the intent of that request, I would say. Thank you.
Someone else? Go ahead. Go ahead. State name, director.
Luke Opperman. So just to kind of piggyback, we know that there's a 300-foot buffer zone that's required. The city staff recommended 1,000, and you just kind of provided some of the details of that. And for that one perspective, I didn't see the whole presentation, and I'm looking over the 577-page submittal. There are other houses south of the railroad tracks or north of the railroad tracks that are adjacent. Is there about 1,000 feet roughly between those residential lots and the edge of the proposed development?
I think, Luke could see it. I think I mean, I don't want to go on the record with inaccurate information, but I think roughly, that's probably fair. And I do think, staff is looking at that right now. I mean, given you already have that, the tracks there, it's a buffer itself, and then the landscaping, and then it's up higher, but they're kind of looking at if there's anything that would be in addition to make it, feasible.
So that's a great point. We have this 300-foot buffer, and I just looked on your plan set, and you have a 60-foot fill right there. So maybe some of our adjacent neighbors will be looking not just at a 55-foot tall building, but a 60-foot earthen embankment to get that on a platform. So is that accountable in your building height or overall building footprint? That is one of the concerns there. Now, this building is actually 100 feet potentially instead of this. You know, we have cuts and fills of 100-foot cut, 60-foot fills max, and part of that max fill is adjacent to your house, 300 feet away. Another thing is the master plan contains noise ordinance that many times developers address, such as you've already stated, such buildings A and B and making some type of accommodations. And you also address construction noises, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 6 days a week. But there's really no recourse except for us to call code enforcement. And just to give you a scenario, another community member has battled these noises from Chewy's, which is 2 miles adjacent to us. And he's called the city many times out. The city inspector shows up with a gauge that doesn't even meet their own compliance standards for noise recording. So he purchased one and has done all these series and submitted it back to code enforcement. And well, we can't do anything about it. So there's really no recourse to, except at this point, to put more restrictions in the SUP now that have some restrictions, because if this goes city council, it's approved, it is what it is. And thank you for explaining the preservation of 172 acres. It looks like a lot of the developments on the north or the west end, existing dirt road to the water tank. And it looks like all your movement is kind of on that portion where the grade ties in and allowing the natural drainages to kind of stay as natural as possible.
Well said, exactly.
Thank you, sir.
But if I may, Mr. Chair, just address one issue. It's a good point. I know there's been some challenges in the community with some other projects, and we feel absolutely confident that us and our tenants would be held accountable and comply with code in this handbook. But let me get with staff and see if we can tighten up any code enforcement provisions that maybe they wish was in other approvals, but weren't, and we can put them in here. Because we feel confident we'll comply. Let's make sure there's an enforcement mechanism to do so. Appreciate it. Okay, no problem.
Okay, Monty Turner for the record. Write this down. You're gonna have to contact American Tower, ICR Communications, Washoe County Communications, Bird Eye Translator District. In 1955, the Peavine Road was built by the power company in Nevada Bell, and they have right of way. Are you guys going to give us room to park our trucks with snowcats and stuff, or are we just going to have to load them on Virginia Street? Already got the steel cleats, you're going to tear the whole road up, because that's what's going to happen. The last time I was there 2 years ago, I ran a D10 Roser over that. I had to go over the railroad track sideways, so I didn't tear the tracks up. But we had to get that up to get to the site because we had a truck coming. So we have right of way. So you're going to have to get a hold of them because they're going to have that right of way. So that is their right of way. And then you have a mine up there too. There's two brothers that have a mine that's about halfway up there. You got to get a hold of them. And that is an underground mine. Under that road, what I found out when I had the D10 out there, I had to get off the road, go up the side of the hill and come down because it's only 12 feet underneath that road. You could actually cave that. I didn't know that until I got very close to it. That guy standing out there in a snowstorm doing this because he felt me coming.
That's a good point. Currently, we are in due diligence on the property in that road and the full pilot reports, and we're kind of going through that. We think we have a good handle.
Get a hold of all of them because they have to have right of way. They got to have somewhere to park. They got to have somewhere to pull over. And you don't want your roadblock, do you? I mean,
no, it's a good point. I think we have a good handle on what consents we need and the width of the road and how we have to improve it. But it's a good. We'll double check on that.
And then if you're going to pave it, kind of need to know because when it's snowing, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it will be paved.
That's part of the requirement.
It'll look like something you never seen before after I got done living today.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll give you a call to come help with snow removal.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else here in the room? Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Jake Henner for the record. I unfortunately one of the homeowners that directly look up at this property. In fact, if we could go back on your slide where the picture, that's my next door neighbor's house. My wife and I bought in this community knowing that that land back there was park lot residential. And we had, would have never, for wildest imaginations, correct? It's my next door neighbor house on the right. So my house, unfortunately, is the one that looks directly up at W Building C, the 160,000 square foot distribution center, with 24/7 hours of operation. Additionally, if you look closely, that's close to 40 foot of filter that you guys are proposing building behind me. The road is directly on top of that, the main service road that the vehicles we used to come in and out. These tractor trucks are probably going to be another 10 foot in height on top of that, looking into my backyard, ruining everything that I have, my kid, my privacy, everything. I'm really opposed to this. It's just such a shame to see it happen. I do have, so I noticed in different revisions of the handbook that you had gone through, you had actually removed things from the SPD zoning, things like asphalt plants, removed things like some chemical plants, just completely struck it out, which is great. But I noticed that you guys did not remove data center. Are there any plans at this time to, or to your knowledge in the future, build a data center or have any of these buildings up or down any of the parcels be a data center?
I can represent to you today that there's no, to my knowledge, discussions with any data centers. Given the moratorium, I don't think any data centers are really interested in spending any time here, given what's going on. We have that in there just as a use, but it would need a conditional use permit. So if moratorium was lifted, someone was interested, it makes sense for the project, we'd have to come back here to you and planning commission and city council and make that case.
Would the developer remove that so that would require master plan zoning change entirely instead of the CUP?
I'd have to ask.
Additionally, in this photo back here, you can see there is a small open space. That's where the drainage way is. You guys are going to put a 30-inch culvert there that's directly behind my house. I understand that, in your opinion, you think that the improvements you're making will actually improve the drainage. The fact is that the rainwater today absorbs into the mountain. Now you're forcing it all through that channel in that 30-inch culvert. I saw the drainage reports. I didn't see anything that addressed the downstream mitigations. My family were really concerned that in the event of a flood like we saw 2 weeks ago, that culvert would open. And as you can see clearly in this photo, there is no culvert or other drainage ways directly behind our homes, which means all of that water is now directed directly behind our properties and into our properties. Have you addressed anything regarding downstream drainage, not just the miscompliance with drainage for your property?
We felt pretty confident, and I'm just for the record, I'm not a hydrologist, but we felt pretty confident that if you drive around this area, like these drainage ways kind of, go all the way through numerous projects. And they've all kind of been treated the same, which to my knowledge has been working. Keep it undisturbed, build around it, do a crossing if you need to, mitigate the issue on your property. There's been no downstream concerns to my knowledge, so we wouldn't expect it here. But I'm happy to get your number and let's go out to your backyard or your property, take a look, see if we're missing anything, look at the visual impact and give it a close look, and maybe we need to add something to the handbook that we missed. But happy to come out there and do a site visit if you'd like us to.
I'd like that. Thank you.
All right, is anyone else in this room like to speak? Go ahead, sir. State your name for the record when you're done.
My name's Orlando Mejia. I lived here my whole life in this area. I just hate what is happening, but all these warehouses, the way they're just going up the mountain like that, just killing the beautiful views that we have out here. And it's just I just hate what's going on. You're also saying that it's not, you guys are doing what you can to limit the noise that's coming. It's gonna create a lot of noise. Those warehouses, I live off a military road and you hear noise all the time. At night, you hear them if you have the window open. And since those warehouses are right on the base of the mountain, that noise is just gonna echo off of that mountain easy. All those hills. So I don't live in that neighborhood, but for those people that do, it's gonna create a lot of noise for you guys. Sure. There's also the flooding part too, like all that water is just gonna end up in Silver Lake or Swan Lake. We can easily get a really bad flood. We saw what happened in Hidden Valley a couple weeks ago. Same thing could happen up here. And all that water that's gonna be coming off of those warehouses is gonna go straight into those lakes. So, there's also another project that has nothing to do with the same thing. It's the other side of Peavine. They want to build another warehouse project out there, and it's like I just found out about it today. We have a Gazette Journal posted about it, and where they want to build is just a beautiful area. It's all green and like, I don't know. I just see what's happening.
Yeah, border kill?
No, it's like Red Rock Road in North Virginia. So like before you cross over to Cold Springs on that side.
Where do you all of them?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
We're gonna continue. You don't have any drainage ponds for the site?
Yeah, there's detention ponds on site for them.
Okay, you do have,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, detention ponds. So I just want to make sure that that was in there. I just never thought about that.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'll add it to my list as a slide for planning commission. So thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thanks, Brandon. Yeah, I think that you're not having the docks on the first two buildings is just, it really does nothing. The noise is gonna travel, especially that building sitting up above our neighborhood. The noise is gonna blanket our neighborhood. And it'll run 24 hours. Like my house now backs up to warehouses that are hundreds of yards away. They echo throughout the whole area there. We all hear it. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're trying to do, but that first two buildings makes a very small difference. I think it was zoned originally correctly. I think what you guys are doing is just absolutely horrible. And yeah. So why didn't the developer?
What's that?
Are you the developer? Are you a lawyer with the developer?
I'm a local land use attorney in Reno.
Why is the developer?
Just wasn't available this evening, but he will be available at the neighborhood meeting. And happy to meet with you individually or with a group if you want to hear some of your concerns. We're happy to, developers happy to meet with you in the past.
I would just ask like how you feel this is happening in your backyard. Developer response to that.
Well, you're right. You didn't actually have to answer. So
same.
I know. Do you have anything else, Brandon?
Thank you.
Go ahead, Victoria.
Sorry about the record. For specifically, is it retention or is it detention?
Detention.
Detention. So you're holding on to it.
Right.
You're not letting it flow.
Right.
Have you weighed between the two options with these extra concerns about the drainage ways and the down waters? Are you gonna go weigh those while you take a tour of his backyard, or is it pretty set that it's gonna be detention? Because we do have detention with all the other, like Chewy and all them over there, they have detention and they're not being maintained, but they do overflow. So now they're overflowing onto North Virginia and you're causing more headaches in that way downstream. So I always like to say, please consider more about retention versus detention, especially in our area.
Great point. I'll get with our engineers. I know initial comments came back from the cities, not recalling any huge concerns about the drainage plan, but we'll go back
I can
and
see it being something that's not really considered, but you are higher up on the mountain.
Yeah.
So you are affecting a lot more than you think because you're higher.
Agreed.
A lot more down. So yeah, I
agree with everything you're saying, and we will. I personally will kind of talk to the engineers and make sure I have some good answers for that at planning commission. Yeah, thank you.
All right, in the room. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Yeah, Kathy Google. Just some comments, really. Are you aware, or are you builders aware that Peavine Falls is one of the most active in the state, which runs along the front of Peavine?
Yeah, part of the due diligence of any of these projects is, a geotechnical report, to confirm that information and soils and et cetera in regards to building standards.
Regarding the emergency exit for the new, complex that would be coming down Seneca. Are they aware that Seneca is the only way the subdivision can exit the area? So you're gonna have all the trucks and the employees out of the complex and the residents trying to get out as the fire comes over Peavine, which it's done in the past.
We would hope that most, if not all, of our traffic would, exit off Peavine. It's a requirement to have a secondary. I imagine, given that residential traffic over there, that anyone exiting would not use that route. They would use the larger improved Peavine that would get you on Virginia and then onto the freeway. So I understand the concerns about more congestion, but I can't imagine or see that's where folks would head to. Maybe buildings A1 and A2, but all the other buildings, I think they're going to evacuate through Peavine.
But it would depend on which way the fire's coming down the hill, that's to which way you want to go.
Fair.
And the wind comes out of the southwest, so that's the way it blows down toward the subdivision.
And I can say, I know, the fires we've dealt with recently, like the fire department and the sheriff's office have been so good with evacuating very, very early. And I know they've been working on a new wildlife evacuation plan that even gives more notice. So there isn't that urgency. And I know things happen that can be urgent, but we would imagine, well, first of all, Reno Fire will review this application and make sure that we're doing things right. But as far as evacuation plan, make me feel pretty good about getting people out on Peavine.
Also about the house that you pointed to on the first picture, that's my neighbor, I live next door. She moved in 3 weeks ago. They sold the house because they weren't waiting around to see what was gonna happen with this.
Okay, leave it.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's it.
All right, thank you. All right, I know you have one question.
All right, name's Ron Christian Hughes. And I got comments are more aimed at the Reno Planning Commission and the City Council. We had an agreement, it's called the North Virginia Street Transit Corridor. And it was quarter-mile development from either side of Virginia Street. And it was supposed to preserve the hills. And it was supposed to be small businesses. And it sounded like a really good plan. I want to know what happened to that. Why are we developing nothing but warehouses? We're bulldozing the hills, slapping up warehouses. It's crazy.
What was the name of it again?
The
North Virginia Transit Corridor.
Oh, the reason I asked that is just so we can actually give this to Megan and ask her directly and ask her to come back to us with an answer. Something. Okay, cool. Thank you. Do you have any other comments or questions, sir?
I'm sorry, I missed a little bit of that. Can you please repeat it?
Megan, it was a question about the North Virginia Street Transit Oriented Development Corridor Plan. I have a packet of it, and I can email you or give it to everyone here. So if you can look into it and get back to the community about what happened with that plan, if it's still in effect or not.
Great, thank you.
Sir, you still have a minute and a half. It's okay.
Yeah, about the fire. The last time we had a fire, we only had about 20 minutes to get out.
Yeah.
It came over that hill and raced down that hill, and it was a very intense moment.
Yeah.
You were there.
Yeah. I have a picture of a tanker driving retardant across the street from my house.
All right.
Yeah, at one point I walked out. There were fire, I live on Seneca. And at one point there were fire engines in every driveway across the street.
Yeah.
And at that particular moment, fire tanker came down and dropped fire retardant right on the end of the highway. And
Yeah.
very intense. I'll have it very quickly.
June 28th, 2020. That was the date.
Do anyone, I know we do, so go ahead, sorry, you have it. Go ahead.
Sure, thank you, my name's Matt. First I want to say I'm a little upset that we weren't notified properly, per NRS 278-264. It says that all owners within 750 feet should be notified of a hearing. And I think that's probably part of the reason there's not a lot of our neighbors here tonight, is because I personally heard of this at the last minute, and I feel like I didn't have a chance to really prepare just from one of my neighbors. So I'm kind of upset about that. There's but I do have a few questions that I want to list off with my time. I'm curious about the sanitary sewer capacity. I didn't see anything about how you're going to address the sanitary sewer and where it's going to go. Is it going to go into the adjacent neighborhood through the existing old storm or sanitary sewer lines? Also, the storm sewer, which Kelly, thanks for bringing up the impervious surfaces, which do not intercept water like soil does. So I'm curious, will the storm sewer system be able to take on all the rainfall that will occur? Has there been any hydrology study on the impact to adjacent residential wells? Some of the residences in the neighborhood are on wells, and I'm curious how this, especially the impervious surfaces, will impact water availability in the soil. During construction, can construction access the site from Seneca? Will we have bulldozers and all these kind of things accessing from the neighborhood? I believe that a cultural resource inventory needs to be conducted per a letter that I have from the Reno Sparks Indian Colony, which shows that the existing spring was an important cultural site to the Paiute tribe. The proposed open space is on extreme mountain slope, so of course they probably wouldn't be developed. I'm curious how the natural spring and the ponds will be preserved as part of this development. I'd like to propose a gate at the end of Seneca Drive before the development. There's already a problem with homeless encampments that will probably increase with as the area becomes more secluded. I appreciate seeing the increased and staggered trees on the plan, but I do not see any berms. We discussed at the last meeting that there might be some soil berming to help shield the view of the buildings, as well as shield us from sound and noise and things like that. On the plans, there's still no landscape architect stamp on the plan. There's no plan for other vegetation that I see or weed management. I believe there also should be sound walls included as well. The trees that are included are I think they're grossly over exaggerated as to the size that the trees will be. How can I'm curious how the whole park can evacuate through Seneca, as some other people have brought up. I wonder how this complies with Nevada Assembly Bill 96, which requires cities, including Reno, which is the fastest warming city in the nation, to address urban heat island and planning. Riprap rocks and blacktop will contribute to heat for the adjacent residential community. And lastly, the Reno Master Plan, which guides how and where the city will grow and develop over the next 20 years, which is adopted in 2017 after a 2.5-year process with input from 9,000 stakeholders. In Chapter 3 shows that it describes this area as okay.
Yeah.
But it describes the area as foothills residential, and I believe that the large lot residential zoning is appropriate for this site.
Thank you.
Matt, I'll give you my email.
Okay.
If you want to, it looks like that was written down. If you want to send those questions to me, if that's appropriate, Mr. Chair, I will respond to them.
And in regard to the hearing, this is not technically.
This hasn't been scheduled right there for planning commission.
There is no date yet for planning commission, correct?
Right. So the noticing piece is that I believe this would have been courtesy noticed when it came in. I don't know if it was kind of restarted or just added on to the original application from 2025 or 6.
Correct. Pre-noticed for the original application.
Right.
We amended the application tonight's meeting is not considered a hearing, it's a NAB meeting because there's no action being taken. So the 750 feet would apply to the planning commission and ultimately the city council. And our neighborhood meeting we're hosting in August will also comply with 750 feet notice.
Okay. We gotta start getting through this as fast as possible, right? So, okay, good. I know we have people online that still want to ask questions. Want to make sure everyone who's in this room, if they want to ask anything else before we go online.
I'm gonna say we got one from Brenda Cristani. She is in opposition but did not wish to speak.
All right,
Okay, we're gonna move online. First up is Sarah McGuire Fisher. We're gonna move to Kendall Bryce afterward and then Wendy Baroli. Sarah, when you're ready, just unmute your mic and state your name for the record.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Sarah McGuire Fisher. I live less than 600 feet from this proposed development and is barely pictured in any of these renderings from the proposed development. But yeah, I'm sick and 7 months pregnant, which is why I'm not currently there. But truly, this is the meeting is like the last place I want to be. But I deeply care about the health and safety and the future of my children in this community, which is why I am here. To Matt's point, unfortunately, the turnout at tonight's event does not reflect the level of concern in our neighborhood due to the lack of notice. As Councilwoman Ebert mentioned, we are an active and organized community that will not rest in making our voices heard. Approving this Peavine Trails Business Park Plan moves us in the exact opposite direction from protecting our community. This proposal reallocates land in the LLR1 sections in your map that are currently zoned for housing and community use and replaces it with industrial zoning at a time where Washoe County is facing a well-documented housing shortage and rising home prices, limited inventory, and families struggling to find attainable housing. It is irresponsible to eliminate residential opportunities in favor of industrial expansion, especially when many nearby warehouses remain underutilized. The impact on the quality of life is immediate. Industrial development within residential communities brings increased truck traffic, constant noise, light pollution, and air pollution. Many of us already experience these issues, as you've heard. And there's little meaningful enforcement when it comes to these kind of complaints. I've personally called Reno Direct, the non-emergency line, multiple times with no resolution for nearby warehouses, and this would be significantly closer to our home. Safety is also a very serious concern for me and my family. Increased industrial traffic means more large trucks traveling near residential streets where children live and play. This is not a hypothetical. This is a known risk in the North Valley's community and tragically, a child in our neighborhood has already lost their life due to a confused truck driver pulling into our neighborhood. So placing this level of industrial activity this close to homes, like not just on North Virginia, actually in a neighborhood is simply not compatible or safe for our neighborhood or community. We are a small and very deeply committed community, and we will continue to show up and speak out and advocate for our families. So I just want to leave you with this. The city of Reno has the responsibility to protect the health, safety, and well-being of residents. Approving this master plan amendment would do the opposite. So certainly lowering quality of life, increase safety risks, and then, yeah, move us further away from addressing our current housing crisis. I just have one question, I guess. God forbid if this plan actually gets approved, when will this project kind of start so that we can consider relocation out of this community?
Do you have the ability to answer that? The last part of when construction start if this went through?
Yeah, I think the plan contemplates in the next 2 to 4 years.
Next up is Kendall Rice, followed by Luke Salmon, followed by Tony Kohler. Kendall, when you're ready, unmute your mic, state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Kendall Rice. I am a resident of North Valleys, and I want to first start off by thanking all my neighbors for all of their comments today. I'm going to keep mine more to a statement and end with a couple questions throughout. I believe our community has done a great job organizing questions, going through everything. So I will try to keep mine brief, but still keep everything concise, that we are very, very much adamant against this program. I'm a resident of North Valleys. I'm here today to express my strong opposition to the proposed business park located off Seneca Drive. This is not a small commercial project. This is an industrial scale development with over 1 million square feet of warehouse and office spaces across 8 large buildings placed directly next to an established residential neighborhood. The question before this body is not simply whether if this project can be built to code. The question is whether if this is the right project for this location, and whether the impacts to existing residents have been fully studied, addressed, and mitigated. The developer has mentioned that they have worked and had comments with the residents, but I would like to reiterate that we have been rather kept in the dark throughout this whole process and have not felt heard. Our infrastructure is already strained. As already talked before, we will talk with NDOT and other roadway entities to make sure everything is addressed, but adding hundreds of commercial trucks will impact traffic, commuters, and emergency responders. Winter conditions make this even more concerning. North Valleys is unique. We're not downtown Reno, and we're definitely not Vegas, where developers come from. This is the North Valleys. We get snow. Residents have witnessed semi-trucks get stuck, sliding, blocking roads during storms, preventing residents from being able to provide for their families and go to work every single day. Increasing industrial truck traffic in these conditions create a real public safety concern. The proposed access plan raises serious questions. If Seneca Drive is gated and a semi-truck arrives there following GPS, as we all know, where does it go? Where does it turn around when it gets to this gate? There are residential streets. They're not designated for 18-wheelers. A truck attempting to turn around or reverse through a neighborhood creates foreseeable safety risks for family, children, pets, and everyone in the neighborhood. We also really need to ask ourselves if this project is actually needed. There's already available warehouse spaces in the North Valleys and new warehouses being popped up every single day. My question to the developers are, what market demand or economic feasibility study demonstrates that 1 million square feet of warehouse space is even necessary? What are the vacancy rates and projected tenant demands to support this decision? Residents are also very concerned about environmental safety impacts. This area includes open space and wildlife corridors. We all enjoy the BLM land that is behind our houses, and I would beg to say a lot of us bought these houses because of this amenity. What analysis has been completed regarding light pollution, wildlife impacts, and the effects of industrial operation next to homes? Further, what kind of rules will be made for materials stored in these buildings? What potential for flammable materials, batteries, chemicals, or other hazardous contents? How are those be evaluated? Are emergency response resources, fire protection, access roads sufficient for this kind of development? Only time will tell. Finally, we have to ask why the project increased in scale after residents raised concerns.
I gotta cut you off, I'm sorry. Oh, you only get 3 minutes. Sir, I know most of that was a statement. There was at least a couple of questions there. If you have the ability to answer it, I think that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I was taking notes here. I think there's a lot of comments that I'll go back and look at. Yeah, I would imagine that the developer, given the time and expenses they're going through this process, they feel comfortable with feasibility of the project and vacancy rates and occupancies to move forward. Trying to think if there's any other specific questions other than just a lot of comments that we'll absorb and come back and be prepared to address.
I think there were more questions there, but a lot of it was more statements about light pollution. It's like I think it's been addressed a few times. So thank you very much, Kendall. Who's next?
Next is Luciana, followed by Tony Kohler, followed by Allison. Go ahead and unmute your mic and state your name for the record. You want 3 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Luke Salmon, resident of nearby community. And I guess my first question for the developer is already a problem that we have in this community with the semi trucks and the existing warehouses below our neighborhood. There's been several instances of multiple big rigs coming into our neighborhood and blocking our only exit. Seneca is the only exit for our community. So I guess my biggest concern is what property or what evaluation have you done to stop semi trucks from entering the Seneca Drive and getting stuck in our neighborhood, as seen already with the smaller facilities below us?
Thank you for that question. So the handbook, in my presentation, I mentioned in the handbook, it talks about signage all over the place in regards to no trucks allowed. So there should certainly be enough notice and signage to all the drivers to prevent them from coming in.
And if you don't mind me addressing that really quick, if you had taken a drive up there, you may have noticed that there's already significant signage that says no trucks on Seneca, no right-hand turn to semis. There's a couple of different already signages there that haven't worked in the past year or more. So I think that there needs to be a different mitigation plan for that, because when you map in your property coordinates, it automatically directs you through our neighborhood. And I fear that that's going to be what happens with these truck drivers, especially the ones that are insufficient in coordination in English.
Thank you, Luke.
Next up is Tony Kohler. Tony, go ahead and state your name for the record. What your names? You lose Tony. Okay, we're gonna go to Allison. One second. Sorry, go ahead. Allison, we can't hear you if you're speaking.
Can you guys hear me?
Go ahead.
Yes? Okay, sorry. My mic's not working very well on my end. My name's Allison Weatherall. I'm a resident of Horizon Hills. I live on Mohawk Drive, which is right across from the railroad tracks. My first question is, looking at your presentation, the signage that you guys want to put up for the semi trucks, you mentioned putting signage up at the railroad tracks at Seneca. And I don't know if you have been in our neighborhood, but that is halfway through our neighborhood. We already have an issue, as you've already heard from previous residents, of semi trucks coming into our neighborhood. So I don't know how that would be a benefit. I know the city of Reno, how they put up signs on North Virginia where it says no trucks allowed on Seneca. That has not helped whatsoever. But anyways, that's a big issue. My second question is the emergency access. Just like last June, you guys mentioned a gate for emergency access, and how you guys have to have 2 accesses for if there's a fire or anything. But have you guys considered our neighborhood where we only have 1 access? We have 1 exit. So if there was a fire that started down on the other side of the neighborhood, and if we had to leave and our one exit was blocked, would we be able to get through that gate? And also, we have to think of all the employees if they are coming through our neighborhood to that 1 exit point. And then my other question is the dark sky lights that you guys are talking about. So these renderings are a lot different than what we saw last year, and the buildings are a lot higher than what you guys showed us previously. So I feel like any lighting that you guys have is not going to make any difference whatsoever, because of where Mohawk sits. We're lower from the buildings. You guys are, taking into a lot of the neighbors on the other side of this whole complex industrial area. But have you guys considered at all what the neighbors, the residents, are gonna have to deal with living on Mohawk Lane? That's all I have.
Thank you, Allison. You have any comments? You can, if not.
Yeah, no, some opposition really good points. As far as that emergency access, again, we think majority of the traffic for an evacuation would use P-Vine. Maybe some employee vehicles in A1 or A2 would use Seneca, but we don't believe that this project would all dump into Seneca. That's why P-Vine Road's being improved. Virginia Street's there, and then you have your access to your freeway. You make a good point, though, that let's say there is an emergency in your neighborhood and you'd like to access the gate and get up to our site for whatever reason to escape. I never thought about that. The first time I've heard about maybe a two-way emergency. So something we could certainly look at.
Online, we have Tony Kohler. Tony, go ahead and unmute your mic, state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, hi. Can you guys hear me this time? Yes. Okay, very good. My name is Tony Kohler, and I'm also a resident of Horizon Hills. I live on Seneca. I'm actually neighbors with Matt, who's here in the room with you guys. I had just a couple of basic questions directed at the developer, or I guess we have the lawyer representing these folks tonight, as I understand. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So, it's really just a piggyback or maybe a reiteration of a question that has already been posed inside of a bunch of other questions or statements from previous folks here appears to be online as well. My curiosity, we're talking about the marketability of this warehouse development. And I wanted to know if you guys are aware of what the currency vacancy rate is of the corridor buildings in our North Virginia area, along with just the North Valleys or the greater Reno area in general. And what is the demand of this development in relation to what we would consider to be the current position of this land, which is residential. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Tony. Sir, I mean, I think you've answered it, but if you'd like to answer it again. So I think the question was the vacancy rate and the likelihood that you filled, right? These were.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. I do not have information at this time just because it's not a finding for these approvals. But I could submit to you that the client is certainly well deep in engineers, architects, lawyers, and planners. So feel confident that there's a market for this project.
Thank you.
Emily Salmon online. Unmute your mic, state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Emily Salmon, and we own a home on Blackfoot Way. And we bought our home right before the fire of 2020. And the only reason I believe our house, along with many of the homes in our development, our residential community, are still standing is because of our amazing firefighters who covered our homes in amazing fire retardant. And that was exactly as the other gentleman stated. It was 20 minutes to make a decision. My son asked me, do I get the cars out or do I get the horses out? And it was that quick. So the fire issue for me is number one. Number two, the lack of transparency, the lack of information, and the lack of timely notification is astounding. I own another home where we have been given incredible communication for one house being built down the street. We were provided less than 10 days, one-page letter by Larry Monkirsch and Tim Costello of Visionary and Costello LLCs of the meeting that was going to be held on May 14th, 2025, with zero information included in it, bare minimum. And we attended that meeting, and it was a complete bait and switch. And now the entire development is completely different, vastly different than the original plans. In fact, back then, we were the ones that stated we needed to make a change to the name of it. It was originally stated to be Seneca Hills Development, which would, by definition, cause all of the truck drivers to be putting their GPS codes into their machines to get to this development and industrial park through our neighborhood on Seneca Drive. So the traffic is extremely important to us. And I don't understand how anybody can say, and I quote you, we think the majority would use Peavine with a fire issue. No, the majority will use the fastest exit they can get out when it's 20 minutes to get out of our community. We also have water issues already. Most of our homes need sump pumps when there is snow melt. Nobody's brought that up. Off of Peavine Mountain. And when there are any types of thunderstorms or rain, most of our houses end up with water mitigation issues. When I was speaking with Tim about the mixed use code for most of the non-warehouse space, he was excited to tell me that he planned on and hoped to have a very large gymnasium that would be providing for cheerleading and sports major events, national competitions. And if you don't think that's going to provide a lot of traffic into the area, I don't know what does. That was one example he gave me of the mixed use long-term goals that he hopes he has for the open-ended mixed use option. So there's just so much here that is wrong. I can't even imagine that the rezoning of single family residence, 1 acre parcels to over 1 million square feet of industrial and warehouse spaces, even being considered by our city council. And I will tell you that Megan has been the most amazing liaison and the only person that I've been able to get any information from on the process that this has been going through. We've been going through since the beginning. She has been amazing. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
With that, I do not have any additional public comment.
Okay. So 2 things first. So do you have a set date yet for your meeting with the community about this project? You said in August. Do you have a set date and place for it yet, or is it just in limbo sometime in August? Ed Johnson for the record.
No, we do not have a date yet, working on that date, but we'll let the community and staff know as soon as possible.
Kelsey Mennel for the record. How do you plan on communicating to the community? Because August is not very far away. And so how are you going to let them know that that's going to happen?
We would envision, well, the code and state law would require us to send a notice. Well, staff sends us the noticing list, and then we send a letter out to all those addresses with the date of the meeting.
Just the community meeting, right? Not the
This is the neighborhood meeting that's developer hosted.
all right. Just double checking.
And then I asked for us to go over for everyone here to see again. We went over it earlier. I know it's kind of what we see every time, but there's a way for all of us to get emails of the agenda 2 weeks in advance. The city council agendas.
3 business days in advance.
3 businesses? Yes. I feel like I gave it a waiver. But it at least gives you something. So if you feel that a developer is not sending you notice, I think that's what a lot of people in this room feel right now. I know Brandon is actually a good friend of mine. He's the one who posted a bunch of social media for you guys. He gets the agenda sent to his email. I work, maybe you guys should do the same and help you get more warning, for something like this to happen. If you all like, I'd like to have Callie show us how to do that again.
Is this all we have for Mr. Gordon tonight?
Yeah, I think it is.
And like I say, it's always important to me for transparency and information. So on that notice, I'll put my email. Happy to have any side meetings with any groups, with one-on-ones with any neighbors. Matt knows me from other projects. I always try to work with whatever. Matt, if you want to put together a neighborhood group and have a side meeting of your neighborhood, happy to come attend and talk about options and possibilities. So there's a long way to go, but I want to work with everyone.
Do you have your contact information on a slide that maybe we can put up real quick so people can like screenshot it, write it down?
I don't, but I can. For business time, give everyone my email right now.
If you put it in and I can put it in our notes.
Sure.
Appropriate
minutes maybe, yeah.
And then that way people can find it online.
Sure.
Okay, what is your
Email would be Garrett, GARRETT, 2 R's and 2 T's, only way to spell Garrett. Gordon, GORDON, at WBD-US.com.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much, Garrett.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, everyone. Thank you.
Garrett, you actually would.
They lowered it, but Councilmember Ebert's hand is raised.
Okay, Megan?
Yeah, Councilmember Able for the record, real quick, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can somebody let me know where this is in process? Because I know that there's been a lot of back and forth and some question about where we are with noticing the public. And I know tonight is just the NAB, but Garrett, can you share with us what part of the process are you in with City of Reno staff? Are you prepared to go to the Planning Commission? Are you still working on getting to that place with staff?
Yeah, so we, Councilman Nebo, thank you for the question. So we resubmitted the amended application. That's being processed pursuant to the July intake date. That's currently being reviewed by city staff, departments, and, you know, the normal agencies who review applications. Neighborhood, so submitted in July, neighborhood meeting is today, obviously in July. We would host our own neighborhood meeting in August, and pursuant to your intake date, September is proposed for Planning Commission, but certainly it's still up in the air. We don't have staff comments. We don't have a staff recommendation. So it's to be determined at this point.
Okay, and just kind of back to that point about staff recommendation, could that potentially change any of the like renderings or plans that you've shown at the NAB tonight?
Yeah, it's a good question. The answer would be yes. So what we showed tonight was what we thought was an accurate representation of what the handbook is as of today. If the handbook changes as a result of staff comments or neighborhood interaction, then I would commit to you, Councilman Ebert, we would update those plans to show an accurate representation at Planning Commission and or council of what the handbook looks like in its current form, current update.
Okay, so is it accurate to say that these plans are subject to change? What has been seen here tonight?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think you heard tonight, a lot of people said, gosh, this changed a lot since the first submittal.
Yeah.
Hope that, you know, there's, you know, folks can see we tried to make it better and listen to the neighborhood input. But we're always want to keep listening and work with staff and you and the Planning Commission to amend this to make it better as necessary.
Yeah, and I thank you for that clarification. I know that there were some comments tonight that people were frustrated with the notice that they got. This just for everyone's, you know, information. This is a neighborhood advisory board meeting tonight, so this is not part of the process for approval. This is to show the community what the plans are being proposed at this time to get community feedback. City of Reno staff have not made a recommendation on it yet, so I don't want people to think that they've missed a step in being noticed. We're kind of like at the very beginning, and there is other kinds of noticing that needs to go out from the city. That's, you know, not related to the NAB, that's related to the Planning Commission. And Garrett, I assume your client will have neighborhood meetings. So I just want to be very clear that people know this is at the beginning of the process, and there will be more notice coming out and more meetings that are happening both, you know, at the City Planning Commission and also between the residents and Garrett, your client, and probably yourself as well. So I just don't want anybody to be concerned that they are not going to have an opportunity to provide additional feedback or to give comments. I just wanted everyone to know that we're a long way through from getting through the process on this. So thank you.
Well said, council member.
We are going to move on. Thank you very much, Garrett, for your time.
Thank you for everyone. Thank you tonight for coming up this way. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We go to the next item. We go through the whole.
D. Okay, yeah. So we're going to move on to item D. board, commission, committee member reports, announcements, especially for here, agenda items. Yeah, go ahead, Tom. Sure.
So hi, everyone. I'm Callie Shai, staff liaison. I'm going to take you through some of the resources that are available. We're not agendized to discuss this, so I'm going to go through it somewhat quickly. This recording will be posted tomorrow on the city's YouTube page. So if you want to go back and look at it, I'm going to show you what some of the resources are. First things first, if you're looking for attachments for a specific development project, this is the regional licensing portal. It's 1nv.us, so 1ONENV.us. Just put in the case number, which is listed on the agenda, and expand this record info page. I've opened it to the attachments here. So you can see everything there. You can see the handbook draft that Mr. Gordon referenced and all of the materials that have been added there. Just click on the file name and it starts to download it to your device. I want to show you where the newsletters are. So it's on the city's website, Reno.gov. You hover over services and under sign up for, we have newsletters. Based on, what we chatted about tonight, I would recommend the development projects newsletter. This gets distributed twice a month with new projects that come in. And we also send the planning commission agendas through this newsletter. New agendas are posted 3 business days in advance for about a month. So that is about when you will see agendas be posted. I would also recommend the Ward 4 newsletter. That's where you'll see agendas for this body. And any other updates that Councilmember Ebert likes to send out, including for Council Connects and anything like that. The City Council Agendas newsletter will notify you when a City Council agenda has been posted. Within the development services portion of the website, if you go to planning and engineering applications, there's a related page over here called land development projects. And this is where you can see the newsletters for the last year. So you can see the current newsletter here. It just opens up in a web page. And you can see all the development projects there. You can see what ward they are, what neighborhood advisory board meeting they're scheduled for, what hearing they're tentatively scheduled for. These dates are subject to change. Down here also, there are previews for the council meetings and the planning commission meetings, so you can see which projects are scheduled. The last thing I'm going to show you tonight is the committee page for the Ward 4 NAV. This is the board and commission portal at Reno.gov/boards. So there's pages for all of our boards, commissions, and committees. This is the Ward 4 board. You can see this is some general information and some FAQs. This is a recorded training for the neighborhood advisory board members. If you haven't heard my voice enough tonight, you get to hear it for about 20 minutes on that video. It's a nightmare for me. But there's that. If you're looking for those slides, they're listed under documents under NAB member training right here. So you just click this little eyeball, it opens up. This will take you through the entire planning entitlement journey since, that was current about a couple months ago. I'm not sure if anything has changed there. But this will take you through every step. Everything down here in yellow are the resources and where to find all that information within each step. Some of the links in here might be outdated because we switched over to a new website, but a simple search on the website should take you there. So if you are looking to stay informed on this project, I would subscribe to those newsletters. Keep an eye out for, all the agendas as far as posting for a hearing goes. There's a couple places that things get posted. There's a big yellow sign about 3 by 4 feet that gets posted on the project site. It has to be visible from the street. It gets noticed in the Reno Gazette Journal. Postcards go out within 750 feet. I'll say that to my knowledge, within 750 feet, 30 unique property owners have to be notified. So if they go out 750 feet and they only hit 20, they go out in 100-foot increments. So you might not be captured in that 750 feet. Drive by the site, see if that yellow project notice has been posted. That's posted when it's scheduled for the planning commission. So that's how you can stay best informed on this project. You can reach out to Mr. Gordon, reach out to the case planner. I'll go one more to the agenda for this meeting. It's right here. Click on the HTML agenda to see the web version. Scroll down. We added this recently, but if you click on this item specifically, the attachments pop out.
The staff report doesn't have full information, but it does include contact information for the case planner. So that's Nathan Gilbert. You can reach out to him if you have questions. You have to dig a little more for your what's information, but you can find it. So that's my spiel.
And you can rewatch this tomorrow on
Yes, it will be posted on YouTube by the end of the day tomorrow. Yes.
Thank you very much for joining in.
So
Thanks, guys.
Councilmember Ebert's hand is raised. Councilmember, I don't know if that's your hand raised from the last time or if you have more to say.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot to take it down. I apologize.
Okay, so does anyone on the board like to say anything like for future agenda items, announcements? Actually, you have any, Kelly? Kelsey?
Just as a, I don't know, no, I don't have anything. Again, tomorrow's the RTC meeting at 9 o'clock. FYI, just as a reminder,
All right. Other
an invitation to join the board.
very true. We do have a
We
bunch
have
of people.
vacancies.
We do.
There's a lot of passionate people.
8 vacancies on this board. If you want to review all the development projects that come to this board, just apply at Reno.gov/boards.
Yes, please. Okay, we're gonna move on to item E for public comment. Is there any other public comment you would like to make?
Just wanted to make a short one. Real quick.
Go ahead and say your name for.
Allison Hartman for the record, just real quick, I'm not from this ward, but I just really appreciate this community for joining us in the moratorium vote in Reno. And I think Megan Ebert made this very clear during that meeting that North Valleys is a clear target, especially for the wet data center. I mean, if you look at that project, the original meeting, 60 megawatts original, or there's an additional 30 megawatts supposed to be added at some point with a substation, So these warehouse projects and conditional use permits are so important to keep in mind. So I'm just kind of here to see if that project is at all related, but also in the same sense, getting here seems like going through Seattle almost, with the highways and everything. So I can't believe adding more traffic is even a consideration. But yeah, I just appreciate this community and here for this fight. So that's all.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go online to Luke Salmon.
Yeah.
Luke, go ahead, unmute your mic.
Yeah, I just had one more quick comment to make for the development. In the renderings, none of the buildings to the northern side were shown in the renderings. So I was hoping to put in a request for the next set of renderings to show further up the railroad tracks and towards the Peavine Road. If that was a possibility for Garrett to include, so we could see what goes on further up the railroad tracks past our community, I think that'd be important for everyone to know.
And if you were able to grab Mr. Gordon's email, he's no longer here, but if you need that email, you can reach out to me at nabs@reno.gov and I can get you connected with Mr. Gordon.
Thank you.
And I do not have any other hands raised.
Okay. We're gonna go to adjournment. We're gonna have a motion to adjourn.
Also, motion to adjourn.
Have a second.
Kelly, or second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, everybody. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Oh,